So our initial Week 8 NFL pick show. I can't believe it was Week 8 already. It's kind of flown by here. We'll get to all the games. There's 13 games on the slate, so can't wait to break it down with our guests tonight. Before we get into it, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. As always, I'm wearing something from the merch store is our 100% USDA Man t-shirt. That's the reference to Matt Millen. And my daughter kind of likes the hot dogs on the shirt. She's like, hot dogs, hot dogs. So you can get that as well as everything else at the merch store for 20% off right now. You can see here we have all these options. You can change the colors of the shirts. You can get long sleeve, you can get hoodie, you can get women's tank top, you get infant onesie. We have our mugs, we have our famous apron, we have a baseball cap. We have everything you want here. We're going to add more all the time, so check this out. Go to Amazon, buy my books. The most recent one is Jerks to the College Years, where I made fun of people I met at Penn State. I was there for 6 years, so had a lot of writing material. This book was a lot of fun to write. I think you guys would have a lot of fun reading it. My first book was The Safety and a Field Goal, which is a top 5 topic book about the NFL. Mostly serious stuff, but some fun stuff as well. Some crazy stories that you guys will have fun reading. So check those out, and please consider super chats and super stickers. It's the best way to support the show. We had 2 great super chats from yesterday. We had Kevin Kovac and then Armac helping us out a lot. So I say this all the time, guys. YouTube ads don't pay much, like barely anything. So if you guys give us a super chat, that'll clear whatever we make from YouTube for the night. So we just really appreciate all your help. All right, we're joined by Andy Iskoe from thelogicalapproach.com. I'm going to put his website on the screen here. Andy, how's it going?
It's going fine. I was trying to get your attention because I wanted to know how much of a discount you're giving out on the Penn State James Franklin head coach shirts.
If we had those, they'd be like 99% off at this point.
By the way, I don't know. We were probably up at about somewhere 8 to 10 in-season firings of college coaches. I can't remember ever having that many. And you had a couple of significant programs: Oklahoma State, obviously Penn State, and we had Colorado State, and a bunch of others. That's boy, talk about impatience. But I guess that's what happened when the alumni are putting out all that money for NIL.
Yeah, if you're paying the players, suddenly there's a greater stake. The Penn State firing is so crazy because they were so great last year. And they of course they started poorly, not just with their losses, but like against Villanova, they didn't even cover the spread. You know what I mean? Like at some point, the boosters are going to be mad that they're not winning their bets, and then they lose straight up. So it was bound to happen. But given the success they had the year before, it's kind of wild that they made these changes. So, how's your week 7, by the way? How'd you do?
It was a so-so week. Probably a little better in the pros. I know that that came through, although I was disappointed with Minnesota's game against Philadelphia, but I was pleased with the Rams. I was pleased with Cleveland. I was pleased with Arizona. So that worked out nicely. I was not so pleased with the total result in that Denver Giants game where 19-0 after 3 quarters looks like it's a solid under because it doesn't look like there's too many ways you can get 19 points, hold the other team scoreless, and have it go to overtime. So that was a little bit disappointing when the Giants defense decided to take the game seriously after Denver. And by the way, that shows a lot about Denver's resilience. And may as well mention it now. Think what Denver was up against. They had come off that. Well, first of all, their dull effort against the Jets in London, and you could probably attribute a good part of that just to the unfamiliarity, the travel, the body clock. However, everybody adjusts differently there. Okay. Yeah. And maybe they took the Jets a little bit too lightly, though I don't really think pro football teams really do that. The players don't, the coaches don't, maybe the fans do and the sports writers. And then they had that long trip back. Instead of taking a bye week, they not only had to fly back to the East Coast to get to the United States, they then had to fly another, 3 to 5 hours to get back to Denver. And that might have taken a little bit of a toll on them. So I'm not going to make too much negative about Denver's performance the last 2 weeks, because you can explain both of those weeks. I'll be a little bit more interested to see if we see more of the real Denver team this week against Dallas and that quote-unquote formidable defense of theirs. And I'm talking about Dallas's formidable defense. Bo Nix should be able to resume the decent play that he showed earlier in the season.
You would think. Then again, we thought we were going to get that against the Jets, but like you said, maybe they took them lightly. They certainly made some sloppy mistakes, and maybe they were just half asleep. So I really hate those London games or European games. I'm fine. I'm happy that we finally don't have one for at least a couple of weeks. Then we have two more, but then we're done with them. But
Yeah,
at
we
least
have
we get
one
a
in
reprieve.
Madrid and one in Berlin.
Yeah. So I don't know why we need all these games. When it was one per year, I thought it was a novelty. It had some fun to it, but when they added two, and
I
then
just
three,
want to know that the team that gives up the home game, do their fans get a break on the ticket prices?
I would assume so. I guess. I don't know. I mean,
don't
not.
assume this is the NFL.
Right. Right. Goodell will screw over.
They look for pennies under car cushions.
Yes.
They don't want to give anything up.
Yeah, and I can't speak highly of Goodell. He banned me from the combine, so I'm just not a fan of Goodell anyway. So
understandable.
Right. I can't wait till they have a new commissioner. Actually, I don't even know if there's any values to going to the combine. Charlie Campbell, who's our NFL draft writer, he goes to Indianapolis during the combine, but because we're banned, he actually he meets up with the sources outside of the combine. Yeah, and he actually gets more information that way. Because what are you going to do? Like, ask a coach, like, hey, what are your plans for the offseason? They're not going to.
Not only that, he's got him one-on-one instead of one and several people within earshot. He might not. They may want to tell Charlie something, but they don't want anyone else around him to hear. And so, in that sense, Charlie has a better situation than most people who attend from an observation standpoint, because people, well, first of all, they know him for many years, and they can trust him with information.
Yeah, one-on-one with some alcohol in them, so
even better.
Yeah, they'll be willing to talk under those circumstances. So, we can get into the games here. So let's pull this up. The first game is Vikings at Chargers. Should be a good one. The Chargers are favored by 3.5. There are some 3 -120s out there. Bet Rivers is 3 -118, which is I would say preferable to -3.5, -105. I want to pull up the injury report here. Joe Alt is questionable. He is limited all week. Now, these aren't really practices, but they're estimations. That is the key takeaway for the Chargers. For the Vikings, Christian Darrisaw was DNP on Wednesday, so that is very worrisome if you're going to back the Vikings. Aaron Jones might return. The other big thing is Brian O'Neill was DNP limited. So that they could be down there, both their tackles again. And then Andrew Van Ginkel is out once more. I initially thought, hey, I was going to back the Vikings here, just because I think these teams are about even. And I thought that, hey, take the 3. Maybe it's the Chargers win by 3. The Chargers can't block without Joe Alt. But suddenly Joe Alt may play, and then Christian Darrisaw may not play. And also, this is a short travel week for Minnesota going to the West Coast, which is I don't understand the scheduling dynamics here. Like, if a team's traveling to the other end of the country, Minnesota's in the middle. But still,
if they're traveling anywhere outside their own time zone, that should not be permitted.
Exactly. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So I feel like the Chargers have all the edges here. I would consider Chargers at -3, -118 as a small bet. I wouldn't really be that interested in -3.5. What do you think about this game?
I would still prefer to take the Vikings if they can get 3.5 or 3 at a plus price, or even money. Chargers have all sorts of problems right now. They easily could or should have lost at Miami, and that 3-0 start would have been a decent memory or a distant memory. Losing to the Giants, somewhat inexcusable, although Dart and Giants have played well since then for the most part. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about Alt. I mean, they thought that he'd have a chance to play last week, and of course he didn't. And now, what did you say? He's listed questionable?
He's questionable after. I'll pull it back up. He's questionable after being limited all 3 days.
Yeah, and that's not good. All 3 days is not good. Although it is a home game, so there's no travel involved, so they don't miss any significant practice time like you would as far as getting ready for a flight. So, not sure if I will play the game And I like the Chargers. I have them in the Super Bowl and all that, but right now they're just not a very good football team, and I had to be concerned about that defensive effort they showed against Indianapolis last week.
Yeah, the defense was horrible,
especially with the good receivers on Minnesota. If he can be,
Yeah.
if Wentz can be protected.
Yeah, I thought Khalil Mack returning, Desmond Perriman returning would be good. But Khalil Mack only played 12 snaps, so that didn't really do anything. And then Perriman was terrible in his first game back, so maybe he'll be better. Although it's only 3 days later, so I wouldn't expect him to be close to 100% until next week. Which I kind of like the Chargers next week. They have
who they play next week?
Tennessee. So
that doesn't matter where, other than what the number will be. Where is it at? Is that at Tennessee?
Yeah, it's at Tennessee. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so
Tennessee might be beaten up by the Colts this Sunday.
Yeah, and by then you'd figure Joe Walt will definitely be back. You at least think so. Khalil Mack will be playing full snaps. Perriman will be healthy. I think it'll be a different Charger team in Week 9 onward. This week I'm not so sure. I can see why you would take
my numbers on this game actually have the Vikings a 2-point favorite.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've go ahead.
Yeah, I say I Chargers -1 personally. So.
Yeah.
So that's why I initially wanted to take Minnesota, but now that I see Darisaw might be out, Joe All might be in, I'd maybe switch to the Chargers. But it's a Thursday game. I'm not going to go too.
Yeah, but you're dealing with two mites, and we won't know until Friday night. We won't know until Sunday morning, and most likely, or Sunday afternoon, when the inactives come out.
No, for this. No.
I'm sorry. That's right. You're talking about the tomorrow game. Yeah. So we won't know until what it'll be. What's it? 8:15 game Eastern. So you won't know till what about 6:45? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you can make your bet then.
So. And by the way, we don't know. I would think Alt may be the more serious concern of the two.
Well, if the Vikings are also down O'Neal and not having either tackle is going to be a huge issue. Then again, the Chargers won't have either tackle either if Alt's out. So.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is then again, and maybe whether either of them or both or neither of them. I'm going to say either or both. How effective will they be after missing time?
Yeah, that's true. You never know. I mean, like I said, Mack return. He only plays 12 snaps. He was not good.
Yeah.
So.
How effective and how long can they play?
Yeah, it's a lot of question marks here, so that's why I'll probably stay away. Kevin Kovac with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Kevin. He says, do we overrate travel/body clock? I know there is some data to suggest Eastern to the Pacific time, thinking that's more impactful overnight travel than London. They probably sleep 90% of the flight hours. I think each coach handles it differently. There's some coaches that are brilliant at playing early games on the East Coast, like Sean McVay. I believe he's like 12-6 against the spread in those situations. Jim Harbaugh is excellent there too. Kyle Shanahan is great. Back in the day, Mike Holmgren was abysmal.
A number of friends of mine have done some research, and they update it every couple of years about West Coast teams traveling and playing the early games on the East Coast and what it has to do with spread results. Basically 50-50.
Yeah, and I think if you
which is somewhat surprising because you would think it would hurt. Well, yeah, it depends upon the coach, but just globally, it's about 50-50. I would think that would have more of an impact on teams heading east to west because now they're being asked to play, for example, a 5:00 game in in Los Angeles when it's 8:00 body time.
Yeah, that's the circadian rhythms.
I mean, when you go back east and you're asked to play, a 10 a.m. game. A Pacific or which would be a 1 p.m. game Eastern, which is 10 a.m. Pacific. You're already up at 10 a.m. Pacific when you're back east.
Right.
When you're playing a game that starts at, let's say like the Monday night game, 7:00 West Coast time, which is 10:00 Eastern time. Half the time you're in bed.
Yeah.
Back east at 10:00 your time.
Yeah, Andy. There's never been an East or Central time team to cover the spread starting at 10:00 or later on the road. It's never happened.
What's the data size on that one?
That's the catch. It's a 4-game sample size. But
okay.
And
how far back does it go back? I mean, if it goes back to the start of this season, that's one thing. If it goes back to 1982, that's a different story.
It's forever. Infinite time frame. So
what's that one again?
East or Central times teams playing 10:00 or later on the road.
10:00 local time or 10:00 Eastern Central time.
Eastern time, so like at 9:00 Central time. So,
So in other words, the game. What was it? The Monday night game was Seattle against Houston. If it was Seattle, well, Houston Central Time.
Yeah, it says
Okay,
Eastern or Central.
right, so that game started at 7 Pacific, which is 9 Central or 10 Eastern.
Yeah.
Or if it's
Yeah.
in Washington at Seattle, you're saying that those teams have never covered or never won or both?
The Eastern or Central time zone teams playing on the road at 10 o'clock or later on the West Coast have never covered the spread.
And that's 4 games.
Yeah, it's only 4 games, but they've actually never been close to covering the spread. Well, this is like one of the closer ones. I remember Minnesota playing at San Francisco. Minnesota back when they had Adrian Peterson, it's like a juggernaut team. They got blown out at San Francisco. But again, it's a small sample size, but it makes sense. Like you said, these guys
it makes sense. It makes sense. Somewhat similar to the figure that you would think that the West Coast teams would struggle back east, and they really don't. Like I say, it's about 50-50. But then again, when they start playing, on the East Coast, when it's if it's at 10 a.m. The East Coast games start at 1 p.m. local time, which is 10 a.m. Pacific time. The players are already awake when they're back on the West Coast at 10 a.m. So playing at 1 p.m. In the Eastern time zone should be no big deal. It's the other way around when you lose time, when it's later than it normally would be, as opposed to earlier.
Yeah, I think it has to do with like these West Coast teams. They often have to do this. Like it's 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times per year they have to do this. Now maybe there's a rare occasion where they don't, but like usually they do have to. So they kind of have to learn how to do it. If there was ever an instance where the NFL would always go to 7 and 10 o'clock games on Monday night, I think that you would start to see the East and Central time zone teams kind of preparing themselves to do it that way, but they don't have to. Like it's a new thing. It's kind of like the London situation. I feel like the better team used to always cover in London. But like now teams have gotten used to it. Also Thursday night, I feel like teams have gotten used to playing Thursday night because they have to do it every year, so they prepare for it. But like Houston, like never thought to prepare.
They have a lot of history on how to prepare.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Houston before the season never even thought to prepare for something like this. So I think that's the reason for it. So let's enjoy it while it lasts. And it might happen like once every few years, but still. I kept looking forward to tonight's breakdown. So thanks Kevin once again. Chargers have been trashed since Alt went down. Only win was the non-cover over the Dolphins. Yeah, they were up 13. They blew that lead. But yeah, they have not blocked well at all. Okay, so let's get to the next game here. The 1 o'clock games, starting with the Jets at the Bengals. This line is Bengals -6.5. It's a lot of points for such a bad team. Like the Bengals can't run the ball and they can't play defense. So even if they get ahead, it's going to be tough for them to nurse the lead. Like
we saw that even against Pittsburgh, when Pittsburgh would rally after Pittsburgh took that early lead and Cincinnati came back. But I think it's a little bit a different Cincinnati team, because I think they now have reasons to be Joe Flacco's performance on 4 days rest in both games.
Yeah. It is a different Cincinnati team for sure, albeit on a small sample size. But I'm still inclined to take the Jets, as crazy as it sounds. The Jets have been abysmal, and I usually don't like to back horrible teams like this, but laying 6.5 with Cincinnati just seems a little crazy. Jets have kept some games close. Like they lost by 2 to Tampa, they lost by 2 to Denver. We talked about that week 1. I don't like to look at week 1, but they lost by 2 to the Steelers. They lost by 7 to the Panthers. So that's almost a cover with the spread.
And 6 to the Dolphins.
6 to the Dolphins. So
although didn't they score the last touchdown in that game to make it 6?
Yeah, but they had so many fumbles in that game too. Like so, and
you mentioned the 2-point loss to Tampa and the 2-point loss to Denver.
Yeah,
so 3 2-point losses, a 6 and a 7.
Yeah, so I think even if Cincinnati goes up like 10 in this game, I don't think their lead is safe because they can't run the ball and they can't play defense. So
but the Jets can't complete any passes according to their owner.
That's true. It's a problem. Tyrod Taylor, I think, gives them a better chance to at least complete passes.
Is he gonna be the starter?
They haven't said anything yet.
Or are you expecting him to relieve Fields at some point in the game?
I mean, it could be either way. I don't know. Yeah. I get the feeling that Taylor's going to start.
How is he going to score without Garrett Wilson?
Well, Garrett Wilson's questionable. Apparently, he might play. Also, the Bengals are awful against tight ends, just absolutely awful. So Mason Taylor could have a decent game here. There's Breece Hall. They could run the ball in Cincinnati. Cincinnati, so they can't stop anything. So I'm not too worried about the Jets scoring. I think the Jets can score enough to cover. I don't think they're going to win, But I think they can keep it close, even if it's via backdoor. So I would take the Jets for a small amount, not go crazy with it. What do you think about this game?
No way I can play the Jets. I thought there was a perfect spot last week against Carolina.
Yep.
And look, if an NFL pro football team gives up 13 points, and you could probably check this right now while we're talking, if an NFL team gives up 13 points, what do they win? Probably about 95% of those games.
I will look it up right now. I'm
talking about straight up. Forget about the cover. Just winning. And if they're at home, if an NFL team at home holds the opponent to 13 points or less.
Okay.
Sorry. Exactly. To 13 points or less.
So when the opponent scores 13 points or fewer, the straight up record.
Let's say between 10 and 13.
Oh, okay. So that's gonna be more difficult. So
I'll just go 13 then, because that's a common number.
Yeah, 13 or fewer. Those teams are 3,755 and 450. So 89.3%.
There you go. Okay, so a little bit understated on the percentage, but didn't realize the size of the database would be.
Yeah.
Would be. And how far does that go down to 2010 or 2002 or?
I didn't specify dates, so 1989.
Oh, okay, 89. So it does go back that far. Cincinnati does have some weapons, and the thing to me why they cover this game is because it's not because of their defense. Because if you take a look at these units on the field, let's say the Bengals offense is number one unit. Begrudgingly, perhaps you make the Jets defense number two. I would say you have to make Cincinnati's defense number three because the Jets offense is just so bad.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And let's say the Jets defense is really, not all that great. In fact, on a yards per play, I don't have that in front of me, but on a yards per game, the Jets are allowing 326, the Bengals 394, so that's significant. However, one of the ends the Jets have is they do have a better rush defense simply because the Bengals can't rush. But remember, they were playing for 3 3/4 games with Browning. Yeah. Now they got an NFL quarterback in Joe Flacco. And again, I mentioned, he had 4 days after the trade to get ready for the game against Green Bay. He was decent in that game. And then he had another 4 days because they played Thursday night against Pittsburgh last week, and he played extremely well. Now, figure that now they have extra rest. And normally it might not be all that big of a deal, but considering Flacco is still new to the offense and new to the players, those extra days of rest mean more practice time for him and Higgins and him and Chase, etc. So they probably have an ability to put more creativity into the playbook than they did in either of those first two games. And if you're able to be more creative and have more success passing the football, as they did when Burrow's in there, and normally when Browning was not in there because they didn't have success passing the ball, it opens up the running game a little bit. Now Flacco's of course not a threat to run unless it's at gunpoint, but nonetheless, I think Cincinnati has an opportunity to put 28 to 34 points up in this game, and if they can do that, even the Jets I don't think can cover that number because what is the team total for the Jets? Let me see. I'm going to use a number of 7-45, so that would be 26 to 19. Would be a projected final score.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Jets could get to 19.
Well, I mean, they did against Tampa. They scored
special teams. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They got to 32 against the Steelers. If that counts. Obviously. So they and then so
that was game one. When we said, hey, the Jets may not be that bad.
Yeah, they scored 22.
And it took a 60-yard field goal to beat them, I think.
Yeah, they scored 22. They scored 22 against the Cowboys, 21 against the Dolphins.
22. Well, yeah, but 20. Well, okay, 22 against the Cowboys. What'd they give up?
Oh, 37.
No.
Yeah, I definitely get it. I mean, they're hard to take. This will not be a big bet for me. Maybe a small one at most. Yeah. So asking how many games have the Jets covered this year? They have covered 3. They're 3-4 against the spread right now. Yeah. They covered against the Steelers, Buccaneers, and Broncos. And
they barely covered it. What was that line against the Steelers? Was it 2.5? I think that Pittsburgh was laying.
3 or 2.5. Yeah. So I remember getting that one wrong in the Super Contest, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Doing well otherwise in the
I
Super
actually do have one model that is very, very strong on Cincinnati.
Oh, okay, what's that?
It's actually a situational model where I take a look at a whole bunch of different situations and I assign point values to it, and it includes a little bit of history, a lot of current season, last few games performance, etc., like that.
Okay.
And Cincinnati, they struggled without Burrow, and at this stage of his career, and you assess Flacco versus Burrow and Flacco versus Browning. He's probably closer to Browning than he is to Burrow at this stage of his career, but that's still a pretty big gap between Flacco and Browning.
Yeah.
Much bigger gap between Flacco and Burrow at this stage of both of their careers.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, all right, let's get to a game that maybe we'll be betting here. Niners at the Texans. The Texans are favored by 1.5. I think the Niners were favored on the advanced line, if I remember correctly. No, Houston's -2. I remember seeing Niners being favored on Monday, and I guess I don't know why Houston switched to being a favorite. Maybe this is some sharp money coming in on Houston. Not sure, but I know that the advantage Seattle had over Houston, which I thought was obvious. So Seattle's defensive line is way too good for Houston's offensive line. They said no chance. San Francisco's defensive line without Nick Bosa is really not much. They can't really get that much pressure on the quarterback without Bosa.
By the way, let me just mention that the Westgate's advanced line was Houston by 2. That was a week ago Tuesday. When they put the game up on the 19th, which was Sunday at about 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, Houston was still 2. They took it off for the Sunday night game with the Niners and Atlanta. When it came back in on Monday morning, Houston was reinstalled, this time as a 1.5-point favorite. The initial line move was down to 1. Then it went up to 2 and then 2.5. And later that day, and maybe there was an issue, a quarterback issue or some injury issue, they took the game off the board. And about 2 hours, one day and 2 hours later, so from about 4:50 through 6:50 p.m. on Tuesday, at least at the Westgate, that line was taken off. They then put it up at 6:50. Game open pick. The first move was towards Houston 1 and then up to 1.5. So they factored in the Sunday night game. But I do not show at any point, at least at Westgate, where San Francisco was favored, but that doesn't mean they weren't favored somewhere offshore or elsewhere, because more and more places are now putting up advanced lines, 10, 12 days in advance.
Yeah, I'm seeing DraftKings on Monday afternoon. They had Houston, and so they had San Francisco as a -1.5-point favorite. Not sure why.
I heard somebody mention today that they teased San Francisco up from +1.5 and then teased Houston up from +1.5, but it couldn't have been in the same game because you got to. I suppose you could at places that allow you to have open teasers.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't think there are any here in Vegas that I'm aware of anyway. But yeah, offshore, I'm sure DraftKings, FanDuel, I'm sure they and offshore places allow you to have, you can play one half of a teaser and then play the other half, meaning that you can still do it here. I mean, if I go in, I can tease the Bills from 13 down to 7 and the opponent from 7 up to 13. It's just that normally you can't tease a same game at the same time, obviously.
Yeah. Fortunately, at the DraftKings and FanDuel, you have to pay an arm and a leg for these teasers.
I'm sorry. You can't tease it off 2 different numbers at the same time.
Right. Yeah, you have to pay an arm and a leg for these teasers nowadays. So you can't really. That's why I used to do teasers on the site. I don't do them anymore. They're -130. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. Anyway, I like that Houston's not going to face that much of a pass rush. And San Francisco, I think people are suddenly forgetting that they have these defensive injuries. They have all sorts of injuries on this roster just because they beat Atlanta. An Atlanta team coming off the Buffalo win, which I thought might be a little flat. Now here, I think Houston.
They did not outplay Atlanta by that much.
Yeah, that's true. But I think Houston, I'm not a fan of them traveling on a short week like this, but I think I am likely to take them. I don't know if I'm going to bet this game. I doubt it, but I'm leaning Houston. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on this game. Initially, I liked Houston quite a bit. The numbers supported that. In fact, let me see what my power ratings actually have Houston like a 2.5 point favorite in that game because San Francisco had struggled throughout, even though they were winning some of these close games. I ultimately decided, and you know how I do in my newsletter, I do I write up games and then I do best of the rest, and the rest is basically an opinion. I ended up going with Houston -1.5 as just an opinion, meaning it's probably not a playable. It also means, and I tell people this, it means I could change my mind because it's not a very strong opinion. And, it's not like when I put the newsletter out, I'm done handicapping the games. In fact, a lot of it that I do secondary work, really starts when I have more time, beginning, Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening, etc. So I might see something that would put me on San Francisco, though it's unlikely. I was somewhat disappointed in Houston's effort Monday night. But I did have them in a teaser, and they did cover it in the teaser in that one, losing by 8, getting points there. But I felt that Houston had a chance to take the momentum from their games against Tennessee, which was, of course, a 6-0 game before they scored 20 points in the fourth quarter, and their rout of Baltimore in the next game before the bye, carry that over a little bit to work on a few things. But apparently, and I don't know what I should take out of the game against Seattle, because Seattle may just be that good.
Yeah, let's not forget it's also it was a late game for Houston too, so they may have been half asleep.
I don't really put too much in that. These you did 30 years ago as far as that goes, because you didn't know much, and there's so much known about body physiology and rest and nutrition and all that, as far as short-term nutrition and things like that. I just think it may be Seattle is just that good.
Maybe, but then again, like, it seems like Houston never have to do this either, so I don't know if they were quite prepared for it. Well, I don't know. The fact is, like, Houston, I thought that they just had such a mismatch against Seattle because their offensive line is so terrible, and Seattle has the second best pressure rate in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I just thought that they could get to Stroud. Stroud looked like he was deer in the headlights.
Well, if Seattle has that much kind of pressure, they're going to have that kind of pressure against most teams. So that's a pretty good team's defense.
Yeah, no, their defense is awesome for sure.
Unless you're going up against the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line of last year.
Yeah, I just worry about when Sam Darnold is pressured himself, he tends to get a little erratic. We'll see. I mean, that's what happened in that playoff loss to the Rams. He just saw pressure up the middle, and he just imploded. So we'll see if that happens again.
You see, but the problem in using these one-game things is you can make an exception for every team. You can make an exception for every player when they have, I guess, what we refer to as outlier. We just don't, we don't, once is okay. Twice is maybe a little bit of a, we don't know. 3 is a concern.
Right. Yeah.
Whether we're talking like, for example, I'd be concerned about the Chargers right now.
Yeah.
After their last 3 games.
Does Joe Alt coming back, does that change anything?
One player, even quarterbacks, although I'll make an exception for quarterbacks, although we've seen teams, at least in the short term, for a game or two, rally. Let's see what happens with Joe Flacco and Cincinnati. Now it's game number 3. But I don't know that one player makes that. If you were able to make an NFL roster, you're a pretty damn good football player out of the thousands of kids who play that position in college every year. So if you're capable of making the NFL, yeah, you may not have the experience, you may not have the number of snaps, but you still, for the most part, if you're coached properly, and so much of playing offensive line and defensive line is about technique and angles and, gravity, for example, whether you're on your toes, on your feet, what angle do you come in at? Do you get down? I'm always surprised that when you're going against the tush push, you don't go tackling right for the offensive lineman's, below the knee or the thigh. That the defense on the snap just doesn't rush low instead of trying to rush high and catch the upper body, push back the lower body of the guys trying to push you.
Yeah. Minnesota, they had someone laying down, and right in the.
Yeah, I saw that on top.
Yeah.
I don't know what that did.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of like what you do when you try to block a kick, and they've outlawed that. Why don't they outlaw that on the tush push?
I don't know. Well, the tush push itself might be outlawed, so we'll see. The Winfield Scott.
By the way, I don't mind the tush push. And they always talk about, well, it started with the officiating. Injuries is a bunch of garbage. We've seen that. But I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, what they should put the rule in if they want to mitigate the issue with the officiating is that all offensive linemen have to have at least 18 inches shoulder to shoulder. That way it gives because then that means also your stance has to be, there has to be more distance. Or let's put it this way, you have to have a certain distance between the left guard's right foot and the center's left foot.
Yeah.
So that the officials can see if there's movement.
I look at it this way. Every team can do it. It's not like the Eagles are the only team that's allowed to do it.
No.
If it's that unstoppable, why don't other teams do it?
No.
I don't know. Yeah,
well, the Eagles have obviously found out the right combination of physics and strength to get it done as frequently as they do. Whatever the secret is. And you know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
And you know what I would say? Someone should make a trade with Philadelphia for one of the offensive linemen who could tell you how they're so successful with it.
I was just about to say, if I'm an NFL team, I would hire Jason Kelsey as a consultant, and then he could tell me how
there you go.
Yeah, exactly. So we have some super chats here. Winfield Scott with 3 separate $1.99 super chat. Thank you, Winfield Scott. If you have any comments or questions, please post it. We'll get to it right away. Kevin Kovac with another $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Kevin. He says, when the Eagles push the Giants 4 plays in a row, that's a horrible look for the NFL product, especially on a Thursday Night Football. Yeah, the Thursday night itself is a bad product. And then you have the four plays in a row. Actually, I missed that because I was putting my son to bed, and then I saw all the texts and stuff like that, and everyone was complaining. So it does look bad. But then again, like I said, every team could do it too. So I'm not joking. I would hire Jason Kelsey and tell him how to do it. Tell us how to do it.
I honestly think that the NFL is going to do something through rules, and my suggestion is probably just one out of many that could be implemented, and that is you have to have, there are a lot of rules that don't make sense. Why can't you have an offensive lineman go downfield and not be, and that be illegal? Look, I could almost argue, why can't offensive linemen hold?
Yeah.
And defensive linemen can get away with doing anything they want, especially in a league where they prefer to have more scoring rather than less scoring. You allow offensive linemen to hold, you'll see probably a 30% increase in points.
Yeah, and they could call holding on every play too.
They call a lot of things. Jostling when receiver and defensive back go jostling down the field for 6 yards.
Yeah,
you can call it on anybody. You could call defensive holding. Why can't you call offensive holding in that one?
Yeah, the refs have so much power.
Offensive pass interference. Yeah. Well,
refs have so much power.
It's because there are too many rules that defy explanation.
Yeah.
Or justification.
And we've seen like Tim Donaghy in the NBA also. So it's not like there could be a rogue official or maybe multiple that we don't know about who are, rigging point spread
with
here and there.
With the salaries that the players make today. Well, you talk 30 years ago, go back 50 years in the 1960s, 60s, 70s. Yeah, the players didn't make much money. They needed it. You go back 20 years, players were still making good salaries. Now, no player is going to risk a career for an extra $5,000 or $10,000.
Right.
But officials, they don't make that big money. And if you're going to
kickers, yeah.
Well, yeah, kickers. I don't know. That might be a little bit. Well, I guess it would be a little bit obvious. But kickers can easily lose their jobs because of poor performance. Okay. Yeah. How do you blame a player if he makes a dive for a catch and doesn't catch it or something because he's not doing something he's doing something he should be doing. But no, I have long maintained, and Donaghy was the perfect example to illustrate it. I have long maintained for many, many years, many decades, since I'm an old guy, that the way you get these games to go a certain way is you do it through the officials who can call or not call a foul in basketball, who can call balls and strikes, who can call safe and out on a very close play. Now, of course, you've got, at least in baseball and some of these others, in baseball, you can now challenge an out call at first, for example. You still can't challenge balls and strikes. To a limited extent you can. And next year, of course, they're going to have the robots. But, you can still do, you can do other things to do that. But especially in games where officiating is more than calling balls and strikes and safe and out. So I'm talking basketball, hockey to a certain extent, but not as much as basketball and football, where there's so much physical contact, and you can call it either way. That's the way you get things to. And the NFL, especially with their embracing of gambling, should be as concerned as much as anything that there's no question about the truthfulness, the honesty of those who have the control of the game. And yes, it's the officials who have control of that game.
Yeah, I kind of wonder about the coaching too. You know, we had Pete Carroll taking Ashton Genty out a couple weeks ago when they're only up 10, and he was right at the rushing yards prop, like right at it. And,
I don't think it goes that deep. Maybe it does.
Maybe. I don't know,
but I don't know. Pete Carroll doesn't need the money.
We don't think so. I don't know. Maybe
he doesn't.
Gambling bets or something. We don't know.
No. People would say, "Hey, I saw Pete Carroll in the casino the night before the game." You cannot keep secrets anymore. There's too many trails. Now, yeah, he could have somebody who nobody knows has a connection to him go make a bet for him. But ultimately, you know how people are. They talk. Yeah.
He can play on his phone, he plays slots on his phone. Maybe he just does that the entire day.
Yeah, whatever, for entertainment, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not affecting the job that he does or the game that he does. But yeah, I'd be very concerned. And again, I'm not saying that I know of any instances that even might have happened. The fact that something is possible doesn't mean that has happened or is likely to happen. Just means that it's possible. But when you think about the ramifications of something possible that can be easily done, it does give you reason to think that maybe there is something going on. I don't necessarily think so. There are some things that you cannot prove, but that you also can. That you also, you cannot prove things. You cannot prove certain things either way.
Yeah. Did you ever see the movie Harvard Man?
No.
It was about Harvard.
I went to Penn. I won't watch anything about Harvard, Yale, or Princeton.
It was about
unless it's a really good movie, and a lot of Harvard, Princeton, or Yale people get killed.
Well, there's a lot of.
No, I'm just so I've not seen the movie. You've seen every movie ever made, Walt.
That's not
seems that way.
I've seen every TV show, maybe not every movie. This movie's about the main character was the starting point guard on the Harvard basketball team, and he had. I don't know why. I forget. I haven't seen the movie in a while, but he had these big debts he had to pay off, and so he was approached to point shave all the games. So it was an interesting movie. It was really good, I thought. Winfield Scott asking how to increase the super chats. I assume there should be a drop down. Kevin, if you want to tell him, because I don't have it on my end. I'm not on YouTube right now. I'm using a thing called StreamYard. So Kevin or someone else, you want to tell Winfield how to do that. But there should be a drop down to change the amount. Anyway,
and by the way, if you're going to fix games, and let's do basketball because it's easier, you don't fix a game with the point spread of 7.
Right.
You fix a game with the point spread of 27, so that the team isn't compromised as far as winning or losing. But if you're up by 20, if you're up by 26, and you take a shot and you miss it, no one's going to care.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Let's get to the next game, which is Bears at Ravens. This is kind of a mess. I decided to let me put up the injury report here because we don't quite know who's going to play.
We haven't got the sound effect for the thing from MASH yet for that for the Ravens injury report.
I should.
See Google, that would be great background noise that people haven't listened to me.
Yeah, I should do that next time. Actually, this doesn't look that bad. Marlon Humphrey DMP. That's the only DMP we had on Wednesday. Lamar Jackson was limited, but the other quarterbacks took snaps, so we don't know if he's going to play. We don't know if he's going to be 100% if he does play with his hamstring. Zay Flowers full. That's nice to see. Kyle Hamilton limited. Kyle Hamilton limited. Ronnie Stanley full. That is excellent.
Roquan Smith is limited.
Full. Roquan Smith is full.
Full. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong.
So that's all. This is positive news except for Humphrey. And I guess we don't know about Jackson quite yet. Actually, the Bears have more DMPs. We have Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, Tyree Stevenson, DeAndre Swift, although Swift, I think that's just precautionary. And so maybe no one misses this game except for Humphrey. So My take is Winfield. There we go. Thank you, 4.99. Thank you so much, Winfield. Really appreciate it. It's thank you. So anyway, my take is if Lamar is back and most of the defensive players are back, I like Baltimore here. It's kind of in desperation mode for them. And when they're all healthy, this is one of the better teams in the NFL. And I don't think the spread kind of does them justice, only 6.5. But if Lamar is out or banged up, and I thought if some of the players wouldn't play, then I would say they would take a shot in Chicago here because the Bears have been playing better football lately. But that's kind of my stance on this right now. But what do you think about this game? Because it's kind of hard to handicap. Right
now. With just because we say it every time, just because they put a line on a game doesn't mean you have to bet it. It certainly doesn't mean you have to bet it if it's a bad number that you think might go away, or if there is some situations that need resolution that might not resolve themselves until the inactives. Now, if when the inactives come out 90 minutes before kickoff, you have to be prepared to potentially take a bad number, depending upon which side you were looking to play.
Yeah.
But there's a certain price that you want to that maybe is worth paying because of certainty. Would you rather lay 6.5, not knowing if Jackson is going to start, as opposed to laying 8.5 if you know he is going to start? If he's shown as active and he's going to be a starter? That's a decision that people have to make. Same thing, and it works the other way. Would you take a chance if you think that Lamar's not going to play? Because what's going to happen once that announcement comes out that hour and a half before the game time. If all of a sudden Lamar Jackson is ruled out, that 6.5 goes down to 4.5.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and if it's announced that he's going to play, that 6.5 goes up to 8.5. So do you want to bet? In effect, do you want to bet that you're going to be able to guess the correct status of the player? Now, you do have 90 minutes to act, but you're probably not going to see the good numbers again once the decision goes either way. Yeah, I could probably make a better case in that situation for Chicago because Baltimore's issues with Jackson out and the defense out have been both on offense and defense. Okay, so they may get Jackson back, and maybe they only get one or two of the defensive players back. I'm not sure that that's going to be a cure. And how effective is Jackson going to be with having missing so much practice time, even earlier in the week? And what was he full today? So you got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So how effective is he going to be as far as the timing goes, especially with one of those receivers being Zay Flowers?
Yeah,
is also on the report. And you take a look at the Bears. They've won 4 in a row. Was it 4 in a row now?
Yeah.
And they're playing with great confidence. Ben Johnson is being able to be a little bit more creative. And the fact that the offense is playing as well as it has been and doing some creative things, I think that transfers over to the defense as far as maybe being a little bit more aggressive, taking a few more chances, realizing that they don't have to do it all, even though they really can't with the defense that they have, but it's not terrible, even with the defense that they have, because the offense can bail them out, unlike, let's say, last year.
Right.
So, with that being said, I think ultimately, let me see where I put it in, because I can't believe that I had a very strong opinion on the game when I put the newsletter together. So as a matter of fact, I put I did put Baltimore as a lean. I did put Baltimore down.
Okay.
If I can untie my tongue. Another of the reasons being is that bye week gave Harbaugh and the coaching a lot of extra time to look a little bit deeper into the problems, maybe work a little bit more with the backups, kind of pointing out these are the things that you didn't do that you should have done, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that extra week off, by having that extra week off, not only gives the injured players time to heal, it gives the coaching staff to make adjustments to minimize the exposure that they've been getting from the backup players.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think the bye was so crucial for the Ravens. They needed this more than any other team. So actually they needed it a couple weeks sooner, but still they still got it.
The only team that could use it as much would be the 49ers.
Yeah, Niners could use but
the 49ers are managing to win despite all the injuries, and for the most part, Tampa Bay is getting past their injuries too. Even though they lost the other night.
Yeah, the Chargers, they're banged up really badly too.
Yeah.
They won a couple weeks against the Dolphins, but they've lost those other games. So
Yeah.
a bunch of banged up teams in the NFL right now. Some luckier than others. So we had a couple of comments here. Slew asking, what's Seattle's defensive EPA rating now? It is number 4. The top 4 teams are Atlanta, surprising, number 1, LA Rams number 2, Detroit number 3, Seahawks 4, and then the Eagles are number 5 right now in defensive EPA.
Where's Minnesota?
Minnesota is number 6.
And where are the Chargers?
Chargers are number 11.
And dropping, I think.
Yeah, I think they were in the top 10.
Because that might just give a little bit of added, because both offensive lines are dealing with similar issues, and Minnesota's has the better defense. That might be a reason to take those points.
Yeah, the Chargers were number 5 last week. They've dropped to number 11. So where's
Minnesota? Minnesota wasn't much lower, were they? Than 6
last week. Let me bring that back up. Minnesota was number 2.
Oh, so they've actually dropped.
Yeah.
With their loss to Philly.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, just such a big performance. Pittsburgh was number 4 last week, but then after what they allowed to Joe Flacco, they are now.
So you really have to wonder about
they're number 14.
Validity of those numbers to show that much of a move off of one performance.
Yeah, I mean it's a small sample size. It's not like a whole season.
Well, it's not so much a small, but it's still an awful lot because everybody is a part of a small sample size.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, it's 100% true.
So I question numbers like that after basically a third of a season, there's that much volatility in so many teams.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's only 5 games. I'm not counting
6 games in many of them.
I took week 1 out. I don't count week 1. It's a lot of mayhem. A lot of teams.
Yeah, but you see, that's for everybody. It's not as if it's just for 3 teams. It's for everybody operates under the same conditions. So it sort of taints the scientific validity by making decisions that say, well, game 1 is not going to count. I can understand a little bit more if it's game 18. Because teams have different agendas or game 17, week 18. Teams have different agendas and approaches because they may have clinched things. They can play the next week. But week 1, everyone's had the same amount of time to prepare for the opening game.
So I don't know if that's true because some teams play in the preseason, other teams don't play at all in the preseason. Like they take it so differently.
Yes, but every team goes into week 1 feeling we did the right thing in preseason, and now we're going to put it to the test.
Yeah, I feel like week 1.
I don't think that coaches say, well, you know what, we didn't play our starters at all in preseason. I'm afraid we may not have a very good chance to win in week 1. I don't think any coach thinks like that.
No, I agree. I don't think any coach says that. But the fact that they don't play at all in the preseason, they're so rusty heading in. It's almost like a preseason game for these players who don't play at all. But for teams that do play a lot, I think that gives them an advantage over the teams that don't play at all in week 1. Like the Lions, for example, like they were so awful in week 1, and it wasn't the fact that they didn't play in the preseason. It was the fact that they had 2 new coordinators trying to prepare for a game in week 1, and so that's why, like, I think it's right to put Detroit's numbers into week 1 because that's not indicative of how good they are. In fact, like I think a lot of the week 1 results are bogus. Like Denver barely beat Tennessee, for example. Like Denver wasn't ready.
They came within a half point of covering. They played pretty much right to the number.
Yeah, but the way they played against Tennessee, like they should have won by like 20 or 30. Like they outgained them by 200 yards.
Well, it's all part of it. Give Tennessee some credit in that game.
Yeah, but
they were unknown. They were unknown with a new quarterback, and then Denver's offense. So
Yeah, and I think if they played each other now, Denver would win by like 30. I think it'd be a much different game. Now, I just think that I don't think you can really trust what you see week 1. That's why I don't like to like.
I would say that's true in some cases, and what you saw in week 1 is true in other cases, like the Jets, for example. They established a pattern of being unable to hold leads and losing close games. At the same time, you can also make that argument in maybe 2 to 4 games a week in any week that totally disregard that effort.
Well, I mean, week 1 is the only time the Jets scored into the 30s too. Like that was an aberration, I think.
Yeah.
I just feel like whenever I get to week 5, I just take week 1 out, and then I just go forward, just because I think.
Okay, if you do it that way and not do it from the beginning of the season, that's okay.
Yeah,
that's a little bit more. That's a little bit more valid. Although I would still maintain, why would you penalize a team that plays outstanding football in week 1?
Because the other team may not have been ready.
What if both teams played outstanding football in week 1?
Well, and then it's just a one.
Or both teams played poor.
Right. Then it's just a one game blip out of like the whole season. I'm comfortable.
See, I'm one who believes that, because those are subjective decisions. My attitude has always been, I'm going to let the numbers speak for themselves. I'm going to apply them on a consistent basis across the board, and then I'm going to use subjectivity in evaluating those numbers. And you could do that. In other words, I could almost make the case that if you want to do something like, let's say you do a power rating system, and each week, and let's say you wait 5 weeks before you start doing it. You take out their best game, you take out their worst game, and you average everything else in between.
Right.
Now, if you got 2 really bad games, it's probably a bad team to begin with. If you got more than that after 5 or 6 games, then you know something there. But every team, look, the fact that no team is unbeaten, and it's still relatively early in the season, but I think the best team was 4-0. The fact that no team was unbeaten 5 weeks into the season, and that right now you only have one winless team, okay, it means that no team every team has lost at least one game.
Yeah.
And only one team has failed to win at least one game. So everyone's going to have at least one. You could criticize. Who's it now? The Colts. Let's take the Colts for an example. Okay, they're 6-1. You can criticize them about one of those games that they won. They won because of a penalty on a play that would have given their opponent the win. It still counts, because these things happen in every game where 1 or 2 plays or 5 plays. If you take them away, it makes a difference. So the way that I handle it is, I don't know that it evenly balances out, but I'm not going to be the one to subjectively. Now, when I want to make a case on a wager, perhaps I might take a look and say, well, you know what? I can explain away that that in the case of the Broncos, I can explain away that loss. Doesn't count as a loss to me.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, and you have to make these decisions when you handicap games. It's, it's a lot of nuance to everything. I think like taking week 1 away, I don't think that's subjective. I think it would be subjective if you're like, okay, I'll count this team's week 1, but I won't count this team's week 1. But I think if you just eliminate the whole week, I think, and I make this, I do this every year. I don't count week 1 beyond week 5. Every single year. So.
Well, as long as you count it for the first few weeks, so that basically you're looking at least 2 home games and 2 road games for the most part for each team.
Yeah.
I think it's starting. The problem with football is you only play 17 games.
I know. Yeah, it's not like NBA or baseball. Even like baseball, you get 162 games.
Yes, you do.
It's such a big. Yeah, you get such a big sample size. So,
and injuries are so critical. They're probably more critical in football. Well, because you play with more people in a football game than you play in baseball, hockey, and basketball combined.
Yeah, I think it's
5 plus 6 plus 9.
Yeah, I think it's only the superstar in baskeball. Or like in hockey, the goalie. Like is a super important position. But if you count special teams, you've got 24 starters, right? 11 on offense, 11 on defense, punter and a place kicker. So that's 24. Yep.
Let's say you have 10 players to start in baseball because you include the DH because the pitcher doesn't hit. So you got 10. You got 6 in hockey. That's 16. Then you got 5 in basketball. So that's 21. So you have more players participating in football on any given play than you do in the other 3 sports combined.
Yeah.
Which means that injuries are much more significant, much more prevalent, I should say, and could be significant, but they occur much more often in football. And football is so dependent upon teamwork, especially when it comes to offensive lines and defensive lines, and the propensity or ability to either incur or prevent or avoid penalties, which makes it tough. And of course, you still have the same thing. But again, you have more people relying on each other in football, 11 on each play, offense and defense, than you do in the other sports. Although you could
and
argue that goalie is probably as important a position as any position in any other sport.
yeah, cluster injuries, you get that in the NFL as well. Like you don't really get that in basketball. Maybe in hockey, if you have like 3 defensemen out or something,
Yeah.
That would be the case. But baseball, they don't really have that either. Yeah, it's a weird thing. I guess if your 3 infielders are out, but it just seems like so independent from each other. I don't know. Maybe defensively, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, but I do think that, or maybe like if it's like 5 relievers are out or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, Paul pitched the night before after like that 15-inning game in Seattle, Toronto.
Right.
Well, the bottom line is I'm probably going to read the tea leaves over the next 48 hours and then make a decision on Baltimore, Chicago. Probably looking to play Baltimore.
I feel the same way. Yeah. But we'll see what happens to the injury report. All right. Next game is Dolphins at the Falcons. Falcons are -7.5. Look, I'm just going to keep fading the Dolphins. The Dolphins are completely miserable. They have no offensive line. They couldn't block the Browns, and they're not going to be able to block the Falcons, who have an improved pass rush this year. We just mentioned Atlanta's #1 defensively, according to EPA. So I feel like with the Dolphins having no weapons outside of Achane and I guess if you want to count Waddle as a weapon. Darren Waller was just placed on IR today. Tyreek Hill already out for the season, so we knew that. So you have a team that has limited weapons and no offensive line, and a quarterback who has lost all confidence in himself. He even said today in a press conference that he was too short to see Jalen Waddle over the middle of the field. So actually quote tweeted Tyrion Lannister to saluting to that. And the defense is atrocious as well. They can't stop the run. They have one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. We saw Rico Doodle go for 206. We saw Kamani Vidal go for 124. We saw Quinshon Judkins go for 3 touchdowns. What's Bijan Robinson going to do against this team? This team seems so lopsided. I feel like Atlanta is going to win very easily. I'm going to be looking to bet the Atlanta -20.5 alt line. And I like that Atlanta's coming with a loss too. They're going to be more motivated to rebound. So what do you think about this game?
And a loss to you'd have to say, despite the injuries, San Francisco's a good team.
Yeah.
And it was on the road.
Yeah.
And it was not exactly short rest because wasn't it Buffalo they played Sunday night before?
It was Monday night Buffalo.
Monday. Okay.
Sunday Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just read some numbers that pretty much speak for themselves. Except there is one that is interesting. Miami is averaging just 20 points per game. Atlanta 18.3.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, total yards. Miami 279. Atlanta 364. Yards allowed. Atlanta 265, Miami 363. Put it together, Miami's averaging being outgained by 84 yards per game. Atlanta is outgaining their opponents by 99 yards per game.
Yep.
Miami -6 in turnover margin. Atlanta +2. Strength of schedule also favors Atlanta as far as the early going goes. If there's I'll be interested to see. And I don't know I have no idea how many people will be playing Atlanta in Survivor this week. It's a good spot for them. They're going up a team that's totally their show. The quarterback called out the players and didn't really do that much, although they played okay last week, I guess. Was it last week against who did they play last Sunday? Was it the Chargers?
The Browns, the Dolphins.
The Browns. That's right. That's right. 31-6. Yeah. And I love Cleveland in that game. That's right. So there's very little I can recommend on Miami, and there's a lot to recommend on Atlanta. And I think I may have written that one. I think I may have written this one up in the newsletter this week because I do remember thinking about the comment. Yeah, I did. And that is Atlanta's been a team that's been a very fashionable pick to do well preseason for like the last 2 or 3 years, and they've yet failed to deliver. This year, they have the look that this might be the year when if they can't challenge Tampa Bay closely for the division title, they can certainly challenge for a wild card. And then again, we know Penix Jr. is dealing with a foot issue. Well, I don't think it's all that bad that they have an experienced veteran like Kirk Cousins to come in if needed, going up against the Miami defense.
Yeah, that's crucial. Cousins, who won't be coming off the torn Achilles this year, so he'll be healthier and better. So yeah, it looks like we're on the same side here in
Hey, he's
Atlanta.
already having a great season. He's 5 for 7 in passing so far.
There you go. Yeah,
In the replacement duty or whatever.
big improvement over last year for sure. Yeah, so we agree on that one. So you touched on Survivor for a second. I feel like if people haven't picked the Colts yet, they almost have to, because the rest of the schedule it's not that difficult, but there's no like easy game. Like, like maybe if they host Houston, but like I wouldn't want to pick that. I'd rather just take the Colts now. And plus you don't need to save them for Christmas or Thanksgiving. So I think the Colts are almost a free square this week. Almost.
Well, yeah, the question is, who would you trust more down going through the season? Would you trust Atlanta more or the Colts more going forward? And I guess you do have to look at both of their schedules, because let's say Indianapolis might have 5 more favorable spots. Atlanta might just have 3.
Yeah, well, Atlanta's division is easy. Like they host Carolina later in the year in a revenge game, so that's an opportunity to take them. Off the top of my head, I'm sure they played the Saints. Obviously, they haven't played the Saints yet, so they're going to have 3 easy games, I think, at least. And I don't know who else they play, but I don't think the Colts have another easy game. Like it's, I guess, Houston at home or Jacksonville at home. That would be their easiest game. That's not an easy game. So this one is super easy for the Colts. So like I said, almost a free square, I think. Obviously anything can happen. Taylor drops the ball again shy of the goal line. We'll see. But I think that the Colts are pretty safe this week. So kind of eager to hear what Evan has to say about that, because he has 2 entries left in the Circle Survivor. Yeah, so I want to know if he's going to take the Colts both times, or I don't know if he's taking the Colts already. So that would be interesting to hear. Okay. Anyway, let's go to the next game. We have Bills at Panthers. This line is Bills -7.5. I think if you just look at the past few results for the Bills, I think week 3 onward, they haven't really played a good game. Like they you
know who that reminds me of? It's a game we're going to get to later. You could probably guess the team.
Let me. Is it the Eagles you're talking about?
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
no, you can put them in there. Let's put it this way: it was a professional team to win it all after week 2.
The Packers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's definitely true then. Okay. So as far as this Bills team's concerned, they almost lost to the Dolphins on a Thursday night, and you're thinking, okay, whatever. They just look past them. They almost lost to the Saints. If Brandon Cooks doesn't drop the touchdown, they probably lose to the Saints. So or at least
when did that drop touchdown occur? Very late in the game.
It was like mid 4th quarter or something.
No, there's still time.
Yeah.
I understand the point, but yeah.
Yeah, the Saints would have gone ahead middle of the 4th quarter. So but the point is, like, they shouldn't be playing close to the Saints anyway. And then week 5 they lose to the Patriots. That's understandable. Patriots playing well. Week 6 they lose to the Falcons. So they haven't played a good game since week 2. That coincides, by the way, with Matt Milano's injury. Milano hasn't really played a game. He returned once, but he got hurt again. So Milano is the heart and soul of that defense. I looked at the injury report. He's limited. So he could play, but if he returns, is he giving 100%? Like, we've seen him return and be a little shaky for like 2 weeks and then get going. So even if he plays, we don't know if he's going to be effective. And he has to stop this Carolina rushing offense, which is going to be difficult, I think, without a healthy Milano.
That depends that's what you think. That depends upon what you think about the Carolina passing offense with the Red Rifle.
Well, I prefer Dalton over Young. You can see over the line of scrimmage, which is a plus. The Bills are coming off a bye, which, maybe they correct some things during the week off. I think this could be positive for them. On the flip side, they play against Kansas City.
Just interrupt for a moment. I think that really comes down to how many of the injured players had that extra week to get healthy.
Right. Yeah, and we'll see that could really help Milano, for example. So, Daquan Jones, I think, missed practice today. He did. Yeah, Daquan Jones missed practice, so that could be another big loss. And then Buffalo plays Kansas City next week, so potential look ahead, but probably not, because they lost 2 games in a row. So, This is a really tough game to handicap. I don't know what to expect from Buffalo. I think I put down Buffalo for no units, but I really have no confidence in this one. What do you think about this game?
It's another one that I had to decide where I wanted to group it as far as not being a game that was going to be one of my featured ones. And I ended up going with Buffalo, and I did make it a best of the rest, meaning there's opinion on Buffalo for many of the reasons you mentioned. Well, Carolina, Carolina's like Chicago. They're playing with a great deal of confidence right now.
Mm-hmm.
They finally won a road game last week, if you want to call a win over the Jets, meaningful, but it counts. And you can't tell the players, don't get too excited about it, because anytime you beat another team, that's an accomplishment. But it does step up a little bit here. Buffalo does have the pedigree. They have a huge edge at quarterback. They also have a very good running game. Carolina's with those big, Doodles efforts the last couple of weeks. They're now averaging 140 rushing yards per game. Buffalo's averaging 151, but the difference is in what they allow. Buffalo allows 156, Carolina only 93. So, to me, the Buffalo, because of their poor run defense, should try to maintain ball control, and maybe they establish their run with some short passes by Allen, so that they can't sneak up on the line and just totally guard against the run on every play. And of course, Allen does have the ability to not just have designed runs, but obviously improvise runs. So I think Buffalo, and having had that extra time off, and going into what they know will be a tough game next week, regardless of the site, it's going to be, especially the way the Chiefs are playing right now, that they cannot take this game for granted. And not only can they not take this game for granted, this is a game where they probably need to put forth an effort that lets everyone start thinking that, hey, Buffalo again is playing the kind of ball that we expected. Because remember, that loss to New England was at home.
Yeah.
And you can't get that one back. You can even the series with the win at New England, and who knows how much better New England might be at the time that they have the rematch. So I think this is a very important game for Buffalo, and it's important game for Carolina too. Every game is important for every team. Even the Jets, the Cincinnati game is important to them. But talent-wise, preparation-wise, I think Buffalo has the edges here. So it's probably going to be a play. It'll certainly be one of the teams that I tease down.
Okay, yeah, I think Buffalo and the teaser makes a lot of sense. I think that makes the most sense right now. Given.
By the way, the Bills are still averaging 27.8 points per game, and the difference in what they're allowing: Carolina 21-7, Buffalo 22-8. So it's not a huge difference with Carolina's defense, and of course the yardage numbers do favor the Panthers. Let me just check for a moment. My opponent's power rating has a very slight edge to Buffalo. Nothing significant. Nothing that I would say adds support to a play on Buffalo. I need like a 4 or 5 point difference in average opponent power ratings for that to be a factor.
Okay. Yeah. Carolina 9th in defense heading into this game. Buffalo 21st. So
which is surprisingly higher than I thought, or better than I thought.
Yeah. Buffalo. They'll be higher once they get healthy, but when is the big question? When
I say higher, I would have thought that I thought their number would have been a higher number, like 26 or 27.
Right. Yeah.
21 is actually pretty good compared to the perception.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Kevin Kovac, $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Kevin. Once again, I really appreciate it. It says step up in class comes to mind like Bucks versus Lions. The last time the Panthers quote unquote stepped up in class, they got shredded 42-13 by the Patriots. Buffalo has to get right here off the bye, right? So that's an interesting comment by Kevin. I think he's correct.
That was before the Panthers had Doodle in there.
That's true. But the Panthers have.
What does the team run for? They ran for what, 200 something last 2 weeks ago or something. The team
against Dallas, they ran for two. No, against Miami. They ran for 206.
Yeah. And then what they run for this past week against the Jets? Wasn't it a nice number?
Well, they had Doodle and Hubbard split the touches, so yeah. I think they combined for like 120 or something. So Carolina has not played a team better than Group C yet. So Kevin is absolutely right. Well, sorry if you want to include the Patriots, except for the Patriots. I mean, they have they played the four Group C teams they played are the Jaguars. They lose 26-10. They played the Cardinals. They were down big until they had that backdoor cover. Then they beat the Falcons 30-0 when Atlanta was a no-show, and then 30-27 against Dallas in a game that was back and forth.
Went to down to the wire. By the way, where do you have Buffalo? Do you have them as B right now?
I saw them as Group A.
Even with the injuries?
Yeah, they're still a top 4 team, I think, in my opinion. But
do you handicap them given those injuries? Where do you have Baltimore?
I put them before the bye. I had them Group F with Cooper Rush and all those backups. But now I put them in Group B right now
with Jackson in there.
Yeah, just because I don't know if they're healthy, and I did that before I saw the injury report. If everyone's healthy, I might put them in Group A again. But I don't know how healthy Jackson is, so it's kind of they're tough to handicap at the moment. But yeah, like I said, Kevin's absolutely right. Yeah, the one time they went up past Group C, they lost 42-13. So I agree with Kevin. I think it's gonna be tough for them to compete with Buffalo if Buffalo is at full strength, but we've seen the Bills just nearly lose to the Saints and the Dolphins, and then lose to the Falcons. Like, I just don't trust them given that they're not healthy, But the bye week does help. Losing 2 games, like they should be sharp. And Kevin said they have to get right off the bye. So I think there's definitely a good argument to take Buffalo. I just my trust level with them right now is pretty low, but maybe that's a sign that we should take them because this is it's fairly
buy low, sell high.
Buy low, sell high, yeah, or as I heard, buy high, sell higher in the stock market. But no, I agree. This is a buy low opportunity of sorts for Buffalo because I feel like after week 2 or this year, this line probably was like 10.5 or something if they had a line it then. So yeah, we are getting Evan. Here we go. Evan is popping in $10 super chat. Thanks, Evan. We'll see you tomorrow. Colts circa Survivor. So Evan answered the question there.
Okay.
So Evan, I'm glad to hear.
Can't really disagree with that. I was just thinking that Atlanta going up against a team that I guess Tennessee really hasn't shown much to recommend them. No. Again, we're talking about hey, Evan, but again, we're talking straight up, so it doesn't matter. So 14-point favorites generally don't lose, and they've already played, so the Colts have even more knowledge about what works because we've not seen any improvement at all from Tennessee since the time that they played, week 2, I think it was.
Yeah, we haven't seen any improvement. It's just all day. Evan, you hit big with the Bears and the Patriots last week. So I was wondering if you had the Colts in both entries. That was my only question mark, but apparently you do. So yeah, I feel like this is a free square of sorts for you, almost. Like I said, you can't discount anything in the NFL, but it should be easy wins for you.
Would you like to know something very interesting?
Sure.
Would you like to know what the line was on Bills at Panthers prior to the season start when the Westgate put out their 18-week schedule that you could actually bet?
I would have guessed 10.5. So what was it?
7.
7. Okay.
That's surprising.
That is very surprising. Although I did say the Panthers were the hipster pick of the year heading into the season, which look good for a while, but they won 3 in a row.
Well, maybe the Westgate was listening to you, and as a result, put up a bad number so that you couldn't get a good number here.
Yeah, that could
because you would certainly think, based upon where Buffalo and Carolina were coming into the season, if you don't want to say that Buffalo has gotten any worse or declined, let's just say that they've stayed level. You certainly have to say that Carolina's improved.
Yeah, they have, no doubt they have. They've gotten better, but again, they have not stepped up the competition yet. To Kevin's point, so
no, but I'm saying the competition. We knew how bad Carolina was expected to be, and how good we expected Buffalo to be. And Buffalo, they're not quite as good, but they're still a good team with the injuries and all that mitigating things. But we knew that the level of competition that Carolina was going to be facing in this game was, much better than they were at the time. And Carolina, I think, look, they're 4-3.
Yeah.
That's the Dolphins would be thrilled to be 4-3. They'd be thrilled to be 2-5 actually right now. But so where I'm at is that I would think that because these numbers that they put up before the season are generally pretty good guides as to do you think and you perhaps the argument could be made, and you could even say it, that perhaps 7 is too high of a number for the Bills to be laying here, or 7.5, given they were 7 in this spot before anybody played a game. And I guess you would say Buffalo's not played up to expectations. Carolina's exceeded expectations, yet they're laying the same amount that they were laying before we knew anything about this season.
Yeah, Buffalo's played 5 good quarters this year. The fourth quarter against Baltimore, and then the entire game against the Jets. That's it. But bye week, maybe healthier. They could be better off the bye. They certainly have the talent.
But once again, we knew that before the season started. Yep. Buffalo's going to come off a bye week going into Carolina.
Yeah.
Now they probably thought Buffalo could be 7-0 at the time.
Yeah,
at worst 6-1.
Bills of Chiefs next. I think if the Bills are coming off a win prior to the bye, I think that would come into play here. But given that they're coming off 2 losses, I think that's the kind of.
I think it's probably the injury also, the injuries.
Yeah, I think so too.
We've had a chance to see Buffalo play without these injured players for more than a game or two.
Yeah.
And the impact's been noticeable.
Right, but off the bye, maybe they're healthier, so we'll see. It's not encouraging that Daquan Jones couldn't practice, but at least Matt Milano was limited. I was hoping for Matt Milano to be full.
What I want to do is I want to take a look here, since I'm at the Don Best screen, and see what the line movement had game, where I'm basically showing. Well, we've got some 7.5s here locally, but I'm basically showing a lot of 7s. Let me see. Pinnacle even has a 7. The advanced line, I mentioned back in August, was 7, but the advanced line, which is now the 10-day line, because you've now seen 5-6 weeks of action, had Buffalo 7. They took it off, on Sunday before the game start. They reposted it at 7.5. It went down to 7. It went as high as 8, and it's pretty much settled in at 7 to 7.5 in most places. So that's interesting. So it tells me one of 3 things. And I'm not sure which it is, okay? Either the lines makers are not giving Carolina that much credit for the effort they've shown, or they're not taking away any credit from Buffalo for the deficiencies that they've shown, or they're basically saying it's a wash between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, I love these advanced numbers, the ones that come out in August and the ones that come out 10 days before the game that's going to be played, because it gives you an idea to see how much the lines makers' opinions have changed versus your opinion has changed. And this is one of the more baffling line changes. Now, the conclusion could be, although it made perfect sense at the time, that maybe that advanced line of 7 was too high. I can't see that, though.
Yeah.
And I do think some change, whatever the number was back in August, I think there should have been some change for this game.
I agree with that, yeah. Evan asking, Andy, what's crazier in your opinion, the Titans come back over Arizona or the Denver comeback last week?
It's a good question because I don't have an immediate answer without thinking about it. When you talk about the 2 teams involved, you can make the argument that the Giants' comeback against Denver with all those points in the fourth quarter was the crazier comeback. When you consider the 2 teams involved in the Arizona-Tennessee game, and you consider the way that comeback occurred, that comeback was crazier because it took 2 very unusual plays to get the result. It was going to be 28-3, I think, before he stopped and dropped the ball before getting in the end zone. And then the craziness of the Tennessee throwing the interception being fumbled, and then Tennessee recovering the ball in the he recovered it in the end zone. So contrary to what I had said, I think earlier last week, that maybe it should have been that there was a change of possession when Tennessee intercepted the ball, and my thought was that it should be that just like when an offensive player recovers an offensive fumble, we have the holy roller Dave Casper rule that you'd have same rule, but actually that was the rule because the ball was recovered in the end zone, not short of the end zone, so that was the right call. But I would say they're both very crazy. Given the quality of the teams, the site advantage that Denver had, although again, and I don't know if we talked about it at the beginning or if we talked about it before we went on, about Denver's tough situation and why you got to overlook those games. They had that game where they played very lethargically overseas in London against the Jets, and then they came back, but they not only had to come back to the East Coast, they had to go an extra 3-4 hours to go back to Denver. I don't know if there was a direct flight from London or if they had to change. And so if you noticed, it affected them late in the game where you might think it would affect them late in the game because all of a sudden, all that wear and tear on the body or whatever, the time clock, whatever it is, took effect on them as far as that goes. So I would say that I would say the Arizona Tennessee game was the crazier game, the comeback, but the Giants Broncos game was the more surprising or unusual comeback.
Yeah,
as opposed to crazy.
You mentioned the two plays in the Arizona Tennessee game. Don't forget the snap hitting Murray in the helmet and causing him to fall down and injured his ankle. So there was that as well.
That just adds to the craziness.
Yeah, that was insane. I of course we had
the only thing missing was a butt fumble.
Yeah, that would have been that would have perfected it. That would have.
But Mark Sanchez was nowhere near Phoenix at that point. He unfortunately is back in Indianapolis with his stabbing situation and legal problems. Yeah,
seriously. Talking about bizarre. That was crazy too.
I don't think we know the full story yet on that one.
I don't know. We might hear some crazier things there. Can't Make An Eagle says the Jets once beat the Rams in LA as 17-point dogs. Yeah,
and I have a good friend who actually had on the money line in that game.
What was the money line? Do you remember?
I don't know. Maybe like probably 370, 450, something like that. Maybe even higher.
Oh, it had to be higher than that. That's pretty insane. I would actually look at the some of the money line here because like the Chiefs are minus 12.5. We'll get to them later, but the Chiefs as 12.5 point favorites. I'm looking right now. So the Chiefs minus 11.5 at FanDuel. The Washington is plus 570.
Okay, so, what are the Chiefs minus?
Minus 820.
Okay, not an unreasonable spread. Yeah, so the Jets were probably about 11 or 12 to 1.
Yeah, it's crazy. And of course the Jets beat the Colts in Super Bowl 3's 18-point dogs too. Yep. So crazy. Like I said, crazy.
I was there.
Were you?
Yeah, hold on a second here. Yeah, I was. I was 15 years old, I believe it was, and let me see if I can find it here.
That's awesome.
Let's see here.
I was negative 13. So
let me see if I can find it here.
That's awesome. So while you're looking,
here it is.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. That's great.
Still in with and I'll tell you how long ago it was. There are companies out in this advertising in here that went out of business 40 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome. And
as a Jets fan, I've been paying for it ever since.
Yeah, he made the ultimate sacrifice, and now you're paying for it. So, my condolences on your Jets. All the Jets losing over the years, but at least you had that game. Would you go with your dad or something, or? Yeah,
it was me and my dad, his business partner, and the partner's son, who was about my age. Okay. We flew down. In fact, it's funny because that year, I actually saw 3 football games in person.
Okay.
I saw a game. We flew down to Baltimore and saw the Colts beat the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
Then we went to the AFC or the AFL at that time championship game where the Jets beat the Raiders. And then the third game was the Super Bowl, which happened to match in Baltimore and the Jets. So we saw both Super Bowl teams twice that year. And I still somewhere have a picture that I took with an old Kodak Instamatic camera of time winding down in the Orange Bowl. And it's like dark because the game started, I don't know, like 3 o'clock local time, and it was in January, so it got dark out early. With the scoreboard showing 4 seconds left and the Jets up 16-7.
Did you think the Jets had a chance heading into that game?
Only as a fan.
Okay. Makes sense.
I actually had power ratings on the game, and I don't think I made it quite 19, but it was difficult power ratings because you had the 2 separate leagues, so you didn't have any interlocking play.
Right. Yeah.
Any interleague play. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd love to hear that. Anyway, let's we can talk about that later.
It's good. It's good therapy for me to get it out once every 3 or 4 hours.
Well, yeah, I mean, with the 0-7 team, you have to talk about that a little bit more than usual. Yeah. We can talk about that on another future show. But we have Giants at the Eagles. So the Eagles are -7.5. I kind of feel about this game like I did the Denver Giants game last week, and then stupidly I made a change. I took off the Giants 3 units. I went on Denver for some reason. But I think this line is a little too big. The Eagles have not won by more than 7 points all year. They can't hold leads. Like, they've had big leads and they've blown them.
Well, haven't they, I believe, been outgained in every game this year?
I will look at that right now. I can find that. Let's see. They were outgained against the Chiefs. They were outgained against the Rams. They were outgained against the Broncos. They were outgained against Tampa. They were outgained against the Giants. They were outgained against Minnesota. They were outgained against Dallas. Wow. That's a good catch. I did not notice that. They did average more yards per play than some of those teams, but overall yardage, they were outgained. They can't hold leads because they can't run the ball. Their blocking is so bad. Saquon Barkley is getting hit in the backfield. Like every play, he doesn't have a chance. It's not like Barkley's regressed.
How does he compare with Ashton Genty and that stat you have about yards before contact?
Yards before contact. Ashton Genty's still dead last in yards before contact. Saquon Barkley's second to last.
Okay,
so, they're both
which is still shocking. But I know he hasn't. What's his biggest run this year? Has he had anything greater than 16 yards?
No, I don't think so. Because I have him on, a bunch of my best ball teams, and I'm just eager to see.
Let's see if I can find out here.
So it is. It's pretty bleak for the Eagles in terms of blocking, and so and the Giants just have been so gritty with Jackson Dart. He just gives them a lot of energy here. They ran well.
His longest run is 18 yards this year.
That's incredible because he's routinely in the playoffs alone. He's routinely breaking long runs, and his average
is 3.3 yards per carry. That's 113 carries. So it's like, well, it's a third of a season.
Yeah, it's awful. He's just not. The blocking is just not there. So even if the Eagles get up by double digits, I feel like it's the same thing as Cincinnati. Like, they're not going to be able to hold on to the lead. Jackson Dart's going to be able to, at the very least, get a backdoor touchdown to cover the spread. I mean, 7.5, you get every single key number with the Giants. So, or every single important key number at least. So I like the Giants here plus 7.5. What do you think?
You wonder how much effort, how much intensity the Eagles put into this game, because talent-wise, they're still a very talented team, certainly better than the Giants. Obviously, they've had now an opportunity to see this version of the Giants with Scadaboo and Jackson Dart and quick turnaround. And a loss here would be very hurtful to them because they will have been swept by the Giants. And this obviously is a home game that becomes very important. Not that they have to worry about the Giants contending for the playoffs, but 2 losses to the Giants is the difference between the Eagles winning the AFC East or possibly Washington or even possibly Dallas at this point. Yeah. So I think we get the best effort out of the Eagles here, and I think that we see their most complete game that we will have seen all season, and that means we see 100 yards from Saquon Barkley, and we see I don't know if we'll see as many passing yards as we saw from Jalen Hurts. What was it, last week? But I think we see a nice balanced offense this week, and the Eagles finally get it together. So I don't mind laying the points here.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, we'll disagree on this one.
It's one of those intangible, subjective type games where we know they're a good team, and you can point to all the numbers, and I think that big one is that they haven't been that they haven't outgained an opponent. Although I do want to check. I don't know if I can do it right here because I don't think I have the numbers here. If they have outgained an opponent on a yards per play basis, because sometimes I find. Okay. Yeah. Because and I mention it often. Every 2-3 weeks it comes up in conversations where that yards per play is a much better indication, because if you're scoring on special teams or you're being given a short field, those are yards that you can't gain with your offense.
You want to guess how many times out of 7 they have outgained their opponent
on a yards per play?
Yeah.
I'll say twice.
3 times. They did it against Denver, against the Giants, and against Minnesota.
So they did it against the Giants.
Yeah, 6.1 to 5.5. So kind of close a little bit. So, yeah.
Well, anytime I see a half-yard difference, it raises my eyebrows. But yeah. I think the average in the league is somewhere around 5.1.
Yeah, Minnesota, they outgained Minnesota by 1.6 yards per play. On the flip side, they were outgained 2.1 yards per play against Tampa, despite being big in that game. So, although Tampa hit 2 very long plays in that game, so that kind of skews that.
What was the numbers against the Rams, where they were down big and then came back?
The Rams outgained them 5.4 to 4.6.
Okay, that's significant.
Yeah, it's a bad beat there. If you had the Rams plus 3.5, we did, that was brutal. Cassandra asking Andy, what was your calculated Super Bowl 3 line?
I believe, and it was difficult again because you couldn't really compare AFL to NFL at that time, but I believe my line was something like 13.5.
Well, it's a good value. 14 being
the Colts I think lost only 1 game that year.
Yeah, I mean that was
the year of the Heidi game, by the way.
Oh, what was it? Okay.
You've heard about the Heidi game.
Yeah, they went to Heidi instead of finishing the game. Yeah,
and when the Jets had, I think it was like a 4 or 5 point lead, and they ended up losing by like 13 or something because the Raiders scored to take a lead, and then I think it was a turnover, or maybe it wasn't an onside kick. They didn't, but maybe the kickoff was fumbled, and the Raiders scored again in the last minute 20 seconds or something.
Can you imagine if they did that now with social media? There'd be such an outrage. They would never do that now.
The outrage would not be at the Jets losing the game that way. It'd be at the TV cutting away.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah. There'd be such an outrage on Twitter and stuff like that. Everyone would be so angry. But the NFL has such high ratings that they would never cut away to Heidi or anything like that. So that's pretty crazy how things have changed. All right. We have our last early game. Browns at the Patriots. This line is Patriots -7. I wrote that this is Drake May's first tough defensive test of the year. He's played nothing but soft defenses except for Carolina, but I want to put Carolina as a star, with an asterisk because Carolina was missing both starting defensive ends in that game, so they had cluster injuries, and I remember New England was just running at those ends over and over again. Carolina had this defensive end, DJ Johnson, who was so bad in that game that he got cut. He went from being a starter to being cut. That's how terrible he was in run support in that game. So this is Drake May's first tough defensive test. Not that I think he can't pass it. I think he certainly can. He's been great this year, but I don't think that the Patriots are going to score with ease like they've done against Tennessee and New Orleans and whatnot. I think it's going to be tougher for them to score here. So I think I'm inclined to take the points here with Cleveland, which the Browns have. They've handled themselves pretty well against these tough competition teams. So I know the Detroit game became a blowout, but that was close for a while, and Flacco threw some bad interceptions in that game. But the Browns are the only team to see Joe Burrow for a full game this year, and they outplayed Cincinnati by a wide margin. And we know how much better Cincinnati's been recently with the real quarterback. Cleveland outgained Baltimore in yards per play. And they beat Green Bay as well. Not that means as much now, but still, Cleveland has been competitive for the most part. And so I think they should be able to keep this close. I think New England still wins, but New England wins by 3, 4, 6, something like that. And the Browns cover. What do you think about this game?
Well, my only concern here, because I do like Cleveland in this game plus the points, is can they score enough to keep it under 7? Using let's see what numbers we'll use here. We'll use the line of 7 and 41. So that's 24-17. Can the Browns get to 17 points against New England?
Well,
Maybe it'll
essentially,
take the defense causing a turnover or two from Drake May or the offense, and they do have a running back who continues to play despite the fact that he likes to fumble.
Mhm.
But the numbers do suggest that you have a great defense like Cleveland, and it's really good because they allow 93 yards on the ground and only 178 yards through the air, which is pretty good. New England's offense is let me see where they had. They are a little bit better offensively through the air, 240, but only 103 on the ground. Conversely, Cleveland gains 93 rushing yards. New England actually allows only 77.
Yeah.
So that might force Cleveland into a little bit more of a passing game. And do you really want to have that much of a passing game with a young rookie quarterback like Dylan Gabriel? If they're forced to pass because they can't run, that's the concern that I have. I think I want to see, I'm going to check right now to see if it's out there yet, because I'm hoping for a 41 or higher to show. Right now I'm showing solid 40 and a halves. I can't even see a 40. I don't see a 41 on the 12 or 15 books that I'm looking at, both here, nationwide and worldwide. But if it can go up to 41, and I doubt it does, I think it goes down, I might take a look at the under. Do you have access right now at team totals?
Team totals, I do not. Well, I can look it up real fast. So for you're looking for Cleveland team total.
Yeah, it's 21. What I say, 21, 24-17 project, based upon the line and the total, 7 and 41.
So on FanDuel, it's 16 and a half.
Okay, right there at 17. Yeah, they're too smart to put it 17 and a half.
Right.
I might still take a look under 16 and a half.
Okay. See
what the weather is like. But my play is, all things being equal, and I think you said it, number one, this is the first true defense that Drake May will have faced, or at least the top tier defense. Where does Cleveland rank in your numbers? Did you see where the top 5?
Somehow they're only 15.
Yeah, there's something wrong. There is something wrong with that metric.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
the construction
game,
of it.
The Pittsburgh game, for example, like that they had trouble there.
But look about the game against Green Bay, the game against Cincinnati.
Well, actually, that Cincinnati game doesn't count because of week 1.
Oh, that's right.
Minnesota.
Wait, is this your DVOA or the DVOA from the mass media?
It's EPA
calculated. Okay.
EPA calculated by I don't know who.
No, sure. but I don't know who. Do they also eliminate week 1?
No, it's my decision to eliminate week 1.
No, but I'm saying that, but the published defensive numbers would have week 1 in it.
I'll pull it up so you can see what I'm looking at. So this RBSDM site, we made fun of them for sounding like a porn website, but they have these things here on the left, as you can see. You could filter.
I can barely see it because they're very small, but okay.
Okay, let me here. I'll increase the size there. Yeah. So you can put garbage time. You could eliminate downs. You can eliminate quarters. I don't eliminate this stuff, but what I do is you could have a slider here for weeks. So I go the week 2. If I go to week 1, let's just say week 1
as a starting point, you mean?
Yeah. So if we do just week 1, it'll load up. We'll see how much different that is for Cleveland. Cleveland would be number 12 if we did week 1. Okay. If we excluded week 1, which I'll go to 2, starting week 2, then you hit update, and then
16.
It'll be 15 right here. So
15,
yeah. So I thought that'd be higher too. I kind of puzzled by that, but
that's why because remember, there are subjective decisions into what's defined as garbage time.
Yeah, well, I could eliminate garbage time. Let's see what that does. Let's go. Let's eliminate garbage time, and suddenly the Browns are number 6. There you go.
Okay,
that makes sense.
That's a significant move. What are the other factors that you control there?
That's the garbage time. You could eliminate downs, eliminate quarters, exclude plays of turnovers, minimum snaps, exclude retired players,
No.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would exclude the what were the two that we talked about? The
Garbage time
garbage time and include week 1.
and include week 1. Then let's see what Cleveland is now. They are number 3.
Okay.
So there you go. That makes more sense.
Okay, yeah. Well, it does because I mean, see, you try to get too cute with some of these things that that are calculated and contrived because everyone wants to invent their own statistic and take credit for it. Okay,
Yeah.
But there has to be some logical basis behind it as far as it making sense. And when you start introducing, well, but for this or except that, it's kind of like. Well, I don't like to get political, but it's kind of like the First Amendment, okay, says you have an absolute right to freedom of speech. It does not say, except if you're in a theater, you can't yell fire. But obviously we don't allow that. Or the Second Amendment says, you have the right to own guns, but if it's anything more than a bayonet, it has to be invented yet, something like that. So, in other words, when you start making exceptions, it makes it easier to make your point.
Yeah.
Which I have no disagreement with people doing. I just like when I look at these numbers to understand what it is, so I can see the strengths and the weaknesses of a system and how to invent it. And again, when you're talking about garbage time, number one, you can never predict garbage time because you don't know ahead of the game if it's going to be a rout or a close game. And number two, it's still part of it's kind of like saying, well, there should have been pass interference on that call, so I'm going to take away the receiving yards from that receiver because there was offensive pass interference that wasn't called.
Yeah, I just feel like if a game's 44-7, like I don't want to include those numbers, like because it's backups and stuff like that. So
yeah, but backups play all the time.
Well,
maybe not just in mop-up time.
Well, if it's only backups, for example, the Raiders game. It's not a great example, but like when the Raiders took Geno Smith out and put it and Kenny Pickett, I don't really want to include those Kenny.
What
Pickett
a name
numbers.
for a quarterback, by the way.
Yeah, Johnny Interception is coming up.
It was already taken.
Yeah, exactly. So I do get it. As Slew says, Dylan Gabriel on the road against a very able coach defense, I expect to see a slaughter.
Could be.
Yeah, it could be. It could be slaughter. Yeah, this is not one of my confident games. So,
that's why. The other thing is they're coming back after 3 road games. What's the mindset going to be? Having all the honeydew lists this week.
That's true.
Although there may not be that much effect because they were home during the week between games, even though they had to go out on the road all the time. So maybe it's not that big of a factor, but maybe there's a little bit of overconfidence. Hey, we just won three road games. We can beat this 2-5 team at home without problems.
Yeah, they're not much of a look ahead. They play Atlanta next week. So
the one thing I did forget to mention, because I mentioned this has the greatest of all the games this week, and maybe all the games this season. Although the first few weeks wouldn't have been meaningful as far as quality of opposition face. I don't know what the schedule numbers show, but my power ratings show that Cleveland has played an 8.9 point better, tougher schedule or tougher opponents than New England.
Yeah, Cleveland's played 2 Group A teams, the Ravens and the Lions, back when the Ravens are healthy, and then one Group B team in the Packers. The Patriots they've only played 1 Group A team in the Bills, but they have not played any Group B teams. So
okay, there it is.
And
really, you use A, B, C, D, correct?
Yeah, and F. So
and F. Okay.
So funny enough, the Patriots only played 1 Group C team. Every other they played against 4 Group F teams. The Patriots played against the Dolphins, the Panthers back when the Panthers were banged up and not quite what they are now. The Saints and the Titans.
These are subjective groupings.
Of course, yeah.
In other words, they're not static. They're not power rating numbers.
Well, the power in my power rankings, I have Group A, then Group B, then Group C, Group D, Group F.
Well, there's a difference between rankings and ratings because ratings are generally, for most people, they're formulaic. You apply a formula, and what the numbers say, this is their rating. Where the rankings are is perhaps where you say, well, I know this is a number 1 highest rated team as far as the numbers go, but I rank Kansas City ahead of them or Detroit ahead of them or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's all subjective. It's you're trying to handicap these games. Just like you have to kind of decide how good these teams are, and that in itself is difficult because to create accurate power rankings is very tough. People publish power rankings all the time. I think ESPN had Tampa #1 last week or something. So you can see these flawed rankings, and like that's that's part of the challenge is to appropriately rate these teams and just make sure you're not missing anything. It's a lot. I wish we had 2 weeks between every slate of games, so I'd be able to get all the data in. But with all this time, like there's not that much time in between games. It's very tough. So, Sanchez says the players are probably more terrified of their away mistresses who can end their careers.
I like that comment.
Than their home wives. Yeah, it's 100% true. Okay, let's get to the 4 o'clock games. I believe there are 3 of them. So the first one is Buccaneers at the Saints. This line is Buccaneers -4. There's a couple 4.5s out there. I like Tampa a lot here. The Saints, the Saints, first of all, they're not that good. We know that. Rattler kind of turned into a pumpkin last week. It's funny, the Bears Saints announcers are like, Rattler's been taking care of the ball very well lately, and then like right away he throws an interception, and then he has another.
Rattler got rattled.
Yes, he did. And that wasn't even against that good of a defense. Tampa Bay's defense gets a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
And what's key is that they stop the run very well. And when Rattler can't rely on a running game to kind of make things easier for him, he's really struggled. I'll point to that Seattle game as an example of that. So I think this is a tough matchup for Rattler. And Tampa coming off a loss, especially on national TV, should be able to motivate them. So I like the Buccaneers here. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised this line is as short as it is because I think Tampa Bay is still not getting the recognition of them being a better team than most people think. Now, of course, they do have those injuries with Evans now out for the year and some other injuries that have crept up. But, much like San Francisco, Tampa Bay has, for the large part, been able to win despite the injuries. I mean, they're 5-2. Maybe they don't win pretty. Maybe they don't win by margins. I don't know if you consider 4.5 a margin here, but they're certainly going up a team that is 1-6. But the problem with New Orleans is, and it's not quite the same with Miami, who's also 1-6. Miami is 1-6, but they're 3-4 against the spread. Saints are 1-6. They're 2-5 against the spread. So not only are they losing, they're losing by more than expected. Now you're asking Tampa Bay to go out and win on the road. Now Tampa Bay, they're 4-3 against the spread, but yet they are being outscored on the season because of one bad game. On the other hand, New Orleans is being outscored by almost 9 points per game. So those numbers point to Tampa Bay. The fundamentals point to Tampa Bay. Slightly better quality of competition. And I like the fact that they have the much better run defense. Neither team can run the ball. They're both averaging 100 yards per game, but New Orleans is allowing 30 yards per game more than are the Buccaneers, although the Buccaneers are basically no, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. No, I read it right. They're only allowing 8 fewer yards per game than is New Orleans. So I would have thought that this number could have been as high as 6.5.
Yeah, I agree. I made this line 6. So I was shocked to see it at 4. It might have to do with the Evans injury. Maybe it's an overreaction to it, but
yeah, but they played and won without him.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Bucky's supposed to be back, isn't he?
I thought they said he wasn't going to be back, unfortunately.
Okay.
But the Saints' run defense looked awful last week against the Bears. So not only Swift, but Monangai ran all over them. So Tampa, I feel like Tampa should be able to win this one rather easily. So
let me see if I can find the current injury report on the Saints. Yeah, it looks like there's some sort of update, but I don't know if that just means it was updated earlier today or last night.
Or who are you looking for the Saints?
Let's see here. Bucky Irving has been today downgraded to out.
Yeah. So he was DNP.
Baker Mayfield is now probable with his knee.
Yeah.
And the Saints, Kamara is questionable, although he's not the Kamara of old.
Yeah, Chris Olave was DNP today, but it's Wednesday. It's probably just a maintenance day for him anyway. So
yeah, he's listed as probable.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
And that's as of about 2 p.m. today Pacific time.
Yeah, this matchup at the Superdome always seems to come up as crazily played. Didn't the Buccaneers blow a huge lead in the first half last year, but still win? Yeah, they won. Yeah, they were up big, and then the Saints came back and took the lead, and then they still won by like 20 something. It was like 52-24, 52-27, something like that.
Yeah.
Sean Tucker had a huge game that game. That was about this time last year. I believe that was Rattler's first game. I want to say
On a week to week basis, is the team going up in class or stepping down in class from their previous opponent? Not overall, just stepping down or up, but compared to their last effort. Because, well, I'll give you an example. I think teams. Well, let me see if I have this right. I think teams after playing the Jets are something like 0-6 against the spread.
really?
Because they didn't face much competition, and they're almost always, well, based on the record, they're always stepping up in class after facing the Jets. Okay,
yeah.
But that's basically it. So here you can say Tampa Bay is taking a. Where do you have New Orleans as a D?
F. They're an F.
Oh, you don't have a D, right?
I have D. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like.
Okay.
I've like Houston in D. I have Cleveland in D.
Okay.
Yeah, some other teams too.
Yeah, so Tampa Bay, after playing Detroit, which is probably an A, I would think.
Yeah.
Okay. They're going down to the lowest possible level.
Yeah, much easier.
And that's not, and that I don't. Well, I'm going to get this thing out again because we're at the point in the season now where we've got some pretty good ideas. So let me get out the week 8 line that the line would have been back in August. And the Buccaneers were 6.5 over the Saints.
Well, there's the 6 that we were thinking of.
Yeah, 6.5. And the Saints have been as bad as advertised, as expected.
Yep.
And Tampa Bay has probably been a little bit better because if you just carry out 5-2 right now, and of course strength of schedule will affect this, but 5-2 probably equates to like a 12-5 regular season.
Yeah, and
so
like I said, ESPN had them number 1 last week, so they've definitely exceeded expectations.
Yeah,
they
had number 1 as what? Tampa Bay number 1 is what?
In their power rankings, the ESPN power rankings on their website.
This was before the Detroit game?
Before the Detroit game, yeah.
So they had Tampa Bay rated ahead of Detroit?
Yep.
I know what the S stands for. I don't know what the EPN, because the S stands for stupid.
That is, that's ESPN for you. Just terrible content all the time.
Either that, or sometimes they outfox us and they think that by coming up with something outrageous, they get a lot of airplay on it and they get a lot of publicity from it, which is understandable.
Well, I just I don't think
hurts their credibility, but draws the eyeballs.
I just don't think they're smart enough to. It's the analysts they have on that network are just, I mentioned Mina Kimes all the time when Geno Smith was traded to the Raiders. She said she chided the Seahawks for trading a top 10 quarterback. That's what she said. Geno Smith was a top 10 quarterback, and I'm like, in what world is?
Well, he was in the NFC West.
That's true.
Or you might even say in the NFC. I don't know.
I counted. After she said that, I counted on the show live. I had him as the 22nd quarterback, so it is possible.
Where did you have? Yeah, maybe it was the NFC.
In the NFC, yeah.
Oh, that out of the 16 in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, we could run through the list. I don't.
Yeah, probably. When did she do this year?
When he was traded to the Raiders.
So that was already after Jalen Daniels as a rookie had that outstanding season, who wouldn't have been in the conversation. This time last year, for example.
Yeah, Daniel's over him. Prescott's over him. Hurts is over him.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about Love, but Goff is certainly over him.
How about Russell Wilson?
I hate Russell Wilson so much I can't do it. But Mayfield's over him. That's 5. Stafford's over him. Obviously 6. I'll put Purdy over him. That's 7.
I'm sorry. Who did you say after Goff? Stafford. Oh, Stafford. Okay.
Yeah, Stafford, Purdy is over him. That's 7. And then it's you can debate Kyler Murray, I guess. So he's at least 8 at the very most, at the very highest. So you could argue how would you rate Jordan Love? I would rate Jordan Love over Geno. And then when you get to Michael Penix, because he's an unknown. I don't know if you could put him over Geno, but I would have had Geno over him during the offseason at least. And so yeah, so he's 9 probably at the very highest in the NFC, at least heading into this year. So he was, I don't know how she said top 10 quarterback. But I just point that out because that's the sort of analysis you get from ESPN.
Well, it's reputation sometimes for a team that last year, for example, was 10-7.
Yeah.
You know, without doing research.
Right.
Or coming up with what they used to make the comparison.
Yeah, and we're not even talking to AFC yet. Like we haven't talked about Josh Allen or Mahomes or Burrow or Lamar Jackson. Like these guys are obvious.
I was giving her the benefit. of the doubt that she was talking NFC.
NFC. Well, yeah, I guess. But
anyway, I'm with you on Tampa Bay.
Okay, all right. Let's get to the next team. We kind of touched on this one already. Titans at the Colts. The Colts are -14. I don't know how you back Tennessee. They're just such an awful team. Now the Colts it's not a great spot for them. You know, they're coming off a win across the country, come back home, and they're playing a team they already beat already. And next week they have the Steelers. So this is not like a great situational spot for the Colts. But they are playing Tennessee, and Tennessee's complete garbage. Tennessee, I just said I called them a money pit on the site because if you just bet against them every week, you would be losing a lot here. Now I know they pseudo covered against Denver, depending on what line you had, and they covered against Arizona. Obviously, they won that bizarre game. Outside of that, they haven't covered the spread at all this year, and I don't really anticipate them doing that against the Colts. The Colts are just too strong. With Taylor, I don't know how they stop Taylor.
Tennessee's not covered the spread this year
outside of the Arizona game, and possibly
I have them at 2. Okay, I have them at 2-5.
Yeah, I would say, and possibly week 1, depending on what line you had. So
I used the closing line, which was I think 8.5 and 9.
Yeah, they covered, but at some point it was I think it was like 7.
Yeah, but I mean you could say that as well. Many games, I go with the assumption, and maybe it's wrong to assume, but it's the best indicator that the closing line is the quote unquote most accurate line as far as a reflection of betting sentiment, and so I go with that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you took if you laid 7.5 earlier in the week with Denver, Tennessee didn't cover. But if you go by the closing line, I think it was universally 8.5 or 9.
Right. Yeah. So if you had Denver -7.5, you might be like, wait, they didn't cover. So no. So they are practically 2-5 against the spread, and one of those games we know is very fluky, as we talked about.
It's also terrible. A terrible 2-5 record is terrible given the number of points they're always getting.
Yeah, that's definitely true. This 14 may seem like a lot, but I pointed out before, I think a couple weeks ago, that favorites of around this number in October have actually done rather well. So I have no reservations about taking the Colts here. It's not one of my biggest plays because, like I said, bad situational spot, but they should be able to win easily. What do you think about this one?
Probably won't play the game because I just don't like laying that kind of number. But if I were to make a play, let me see what I put in this one again, because it's one of those games. Sometimes I know exactly which way I played and which way I would recommend it. I ultimately put it down again as a lean on Indianapolis -14.
Okay. So
the Colts defense is where does the Colts defense rank?
Let's pull it up. So where is this? Here we go. The Colts are number 11.
Okay, not too bad.
Yeah, that's solid. They have some issues, but not too bad.
I think they're giving up. Well, they're right around, probably a little bit better than the league average, because they're only allowing 20 points per game.
Yeah,
which is pretty good.
I think their only flaw right now is that they're down their top 2 cornerbacks.
Yeah,
but I don't think that matters.
No, Tennessee can take advantage. Yeah,
right. Yeah, exactly. Sue says for Titans to cover, both Taylor and Mitchell have to return certain touchdowns into touchbacks. Yeah, if they both drop the ball, that'd be horrible.
Yeah.
And they can still maybe cover the spread. By the way, favorites of exactly 14 in the month of October since 2002 are 8-3 against the spread. So
say this one again.
Favorites of exactly 14 in the month of October since 2002 are 8-3 against the spread. 8-3-1 against the spread.
By the way, I have a problem with searches that people use like that one, with the month of October. Month of October is meaningless because it could be, what makes more sense in games 5 through 8. in games 9 through 12, quadrants of the season.
Isn't that just October though?
No,
I mean, it's
you
usually
could
like
have
weeks 5 through 9.
no, but you could have games that go 3 in September, 1 in October, depending upon the year. You could
Okay.
have 3 in October, 1 in November. Two.
Okay.
I don't know that you could have 2 and 2, but then again, but also factor in bye weeks.
So what'd you say? Weeks 5 through 9 you want, or
I would go games, not weeks. Games.
I don't know if we do games.
Yeah, I would hope so that database can.
I don't know the query for that. I don't know. Weeks 5 through 9 is 9-5 against the spread. So I don't know.
Okay, it's still a small
yeah.
So, and then again, what database did they use for their line?
I think they used the closing line on this.
From where?
I don't know.
No. And I'm not trying to be. I mean, I know I'm good at being an asshole, but I'm not trying to be one here now. But because you get that impression every week. But seriously, that knowing the source of the line, because it could be a consensus of the five biggest worldwide books and their pinnacle, their, let's say, circa, whatever, because it matters. That there's a single source that they use, and they don't look. They might say we'll use the highest line that we've seen anywhere all week, which also doesn't really make sense. It's right. But it's a little bit more, but it's still better than not knowing what the source is, because it's a question. I like to look for, let's call it, statistical integrity. Let's call it, for lack of a better phrase, and that basically means consistency. And that's why, even when, like I said, when you factor buys into the equation, now you're talking about a team that could play 3 games in November, have a bye, and then play another game in December. So if you did the search, say, games in November, you'd have some teams that played 4 games, some plays that played 5 games, and maybe some teams that played 3 games, depending upon the month or whatever. That's,
I was just searching like in the second quarter of the season, basically, and it wasn't to say that these teams are 8-3-1, you should bet them. It's more to say that they're 8-3-1, so you shouldn't be afraid to bet them. It's not like they're 3-8-1. Like, you'd be like, okay, maybe I don't want to stand in front of that train. But 8-3-1 says, okay, 14's fine. It shouldn't be scared of that.
Yeah, to me, it's still a little too small of a database, which is why I keep track of I think it's 80 different situations that I track every week, and I wait about 5-6 weeks into the season before starting to put any let's call it credibility into it. I don't know if I have it here. I thought I did, because I was looking at there were a couple I think that came up this week, but nothing that is really all that significant. I haven't played a lot. But the problem with using weeks of the season instead of games is that, let's say you define the second quarter of the season. Let's go back to the old 16-game schedule, because that makes it simple. Let's say you played over 17 weeks. If you defined weeks 5 through 8 as a second quarter, as opposed to games 5 through 8, and there's a problem with that I'll get to in a moment.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at teams in games 5 through 8. Any team that had a bye in those 4 weeks will have only played 3 games in that quarter. If you didn't have a bye, you played 4 games, as opposed to charting games 5 through 8, which means everybody played 4 games in games 4 through 8, but the dates may have been a little bit different, and it could very well be that a team was playing in week 6. They may have been playing game 6, and the other team may have been playing game 5, but it was still in weeks 5 through 8. Or games 5 through 8, rather.
So I the query is just game number, so I was able to find that.
Oh, okay, that's it. Yeah, so 5 through 8.
So, I did 5 through 9.
Okay, that's okay.
That is 9 and 6 against the spread. Interesting enough, there's only one game that occurred outside of weeks 5 through 9 in this. It was a week 10 game in November of 2016. So that was just one to add.
How did that show up in that query, though?
What do you mean? What do
You said games 5 through 9 or weeks 5 through 9?
I said game number 5 through 9.
So how did one show up in
Week 10?
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, because of a late buy that probably occurred after week 9.
Yes. Yeah. They had a week.
That met the other criterion. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we only have one more game added to the sample size from
Okay.
weeks 5 through 9. So yeah, 9-6 against the spread. Again, like you said, it's correct. It's a small sample size. You shouldn't bet on that, but you should look at that and say I shouldn't be afraid to take the 14 because there have been many instances. Well, not many, but there have been enough instances where they've covered, and we can take them without any concern. So. Walt is the man. Thank you, love. Thank you, appreciate it. All right, we have 3 more games to cover. The big game and at the 4:00 slate is Cowboys and Broncos. This line was 3, now it's up to 3.5. So I assume some sharp money came in on Denver. I know Cassandra liked Denver. I saw Cassandra post that on Twitter. And I liked Denver at 3. 3.5 is a little trickier. 3 is the most likely result of any NFL game.
Would you buy the point? Would you buy the point and pay the half point and buy the extra juice? Pay the extra juice?
I think the math says if you could pay it up to -127 for it to make sense.
I'm looking, for example, at the Westgate. It's 3.5 even money, and it's at circa 3 -20.
So that would be 30. That'd be 30 cents on the dollar. So I mean, from -110 to -130, that would be.
Well, no, this is -120 on the 3. It's on 3, not 3.5.
Right.
So you don't have to buy the half point. You don't have to buy the half point. You just lay the 120.
Okay. I would take the -120. Yeah.
Yeah, I would also.
Yeah, -125.
Because I'm showing here in Vegas, Westgate 3.5, circa 3 -20, South Point 3.5. A couple of the local play, William Hill, which is national, I guess, 3.5 -04, 3 -20 at one of the local stations, Golden Nugget 3 -20, Pinnacles at the 3.5 plus 03. So you can shop around wherever you want. You have to pay a bigger vig to take the plus 3.5 if you like Dallas. But it's not too onerous to lay the 3 -20 with the.
Yeah, and if you're in Florida, Hard Rock has -3, -115. So
even better.
Yeah. So I like Denver here as long as it's 3. I think Dallas a little overrated right now. Their defense is horrible. Their offense is great, but now they're playing against the top defense, and I kind of worry that they're going to be able to score as much as they have recently. Although CeeDee Lamb being back is huge. Denver's secondary is great, and Denver, you brought it up earlier, where they've had this brutal schedule. They had to fly from Denver to Philly to London, back to Denver, and now they've been home for a week. They're going to be rested. I think we're going to see a different team, and Denver should be able to score pretty much a lot against Dallas's horrible defense. So we get the better defense, and I think the better coaching staff. Some people are not a fan of what Sean Payton did recently, but I still think better.
Well, that was his talking, not his coaching.
Right. Yeah. So better coaching staff, better defense. I will take Denver here, paying down to 3. What do you think?
Well, I would think that the matchup of the Dallas offense to the Denver defense, for argument's sake, let's say it's almost a wash. It's almost a trade-off. Okay.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Denver offense against the Dallas defense, that's, I think, a clear win for the Denver offense.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And that might be the difference in this game. The concern I have, which is kind of surprising, Denver's just 2-5 against the points this year. Despite their where is it here? Their 5-2 straight up record. The number actually makes sense when you take a look even at margins. Dallas plus 2.3, Denver plus 5.1, so that's 2.8, so that's pretty close to the line. Dallas's overall stats, when you look at it one way, they are being outgained by 11 yards per game. Okay, Denver is plus 74. When you take a look at the numbers, however, the offenses are not that far apart. Dallas 391 per game, Denver 347 per game. But when you look at the defensive numbers, that's a huge difference. 129 yards difference per game. Dallas allowing 402, Denver 273. I don't know that I've ever seen that large a discrepancy between defense of Team A and Team B. At least not recently, but I don't know that I focus on it all that much. Dallas, let's see, what did I had something else here. They have a very slight edge in the quality of opposition faced, but it's not enough to have any impact. I do like Denver in this game. I would certainly suggest buying the 3.5 down to -3 if you can't get -3, which a lot it's readily available. Because I think Denver, especially after those two the lethargic effort against London that can be in London against the Jets could be excused, and maybe we call it the effect a few days later that affected them coming. Instead of traveling, what is it? What's the distance across the ocean? 4,000 miles from New York to London, whatever it is.
Yeah,
it's 5 hours. It's about it's a little bit less than that, I think, going back to Denver, and I don't know how much of a factor is, but it certainly was very uncharacteristic of Denver to play as poorly as they did. What was the yardage totals in that Denver game against the Giants?
Let's see. Denver was where is it? Okay, so Denver was they outgained the Giants 407 to 387, but the Giants won yards per play 5.6 to 5.4.
Yeah, and of course that was all in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but and there were no special team or defensive touchdowns of the game.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I still, in fact, I took it out here. Let me go back to see what this line was when Dallas was expected to be a pretty bad team this year, and Denver was expected to be as good, if not improved, over last year in the second year of Bo Nix. That line was
I'm gonna guess
Denver 4.5.
Okay, 4.5. Okay.
4.5. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
By the way, the Colts line back then over the Titans. I find this hard to believe. 3.5.
Yeah, because people thought the Colts were going to be terrible. Yeah.
Well, they were 9-8 and 8-9 the last 2 years.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Well, they had the quarterback issue with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones wasn't. Well, Daniel Jones was there in the offseason, but maybe his reputation from New York preceded him. But remember, Daniel Jones had a very good year in 2022, led him to the playoffs and a playoff win.
He did, and his receivers were Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, and Richie James.
Could have been Manny Moe and Shaq.
Right. Basically, was he has much better supporting cast now. So it's pretty incredible. All right,
don't sleep on this Indianapolis team.
Oh, I'm not. I think they're really good. I'm in Group B, but the thought dawned on me to put them in Group A eventually, but not yet.
Let me just see where they're. I want to see their overall. When I use strength of schedule or strength, they're slightly below average. The quality of teams.
Yeah, they're gonna have some tougher
overall.
Opponents. They're gonna have some tougher opponents after.
But they're all out of division.
Yeah. Well,
depending upon whether or not you think Houston can turn it around, and if Jacksonville, notwithstanding their loss to the Rams, is an improved team.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Jaguars next week. But I was
where do you have the Jags? C?
Yes, Group C. Yeah. Okay. Let's get to the Sunday night game. It is Packers at the Steelers. The Packers are -3. You mentioned earlier that the Packers have been a disappointing team, and they have not played like the Bills. They have not played a good game since week 2. They lost to the Browns. Then they had that 40-40 tie against Dallas, and they had their bye. And then they can't stop the Bengals. The Bengals covered the spread in that game. And then
even the offense wasn't all that great against Cincinnati.
Right. Second half they were, but like first half they were not at all. And then against Arizona, they almost lose. So
they constantly were playing from behind, and the difference was Arizona settled for a field goal, and Green Bay got a touchdown on the final drives.
Yeah, and it's Jacoby Brissett. It's not like they were playing a starter there either. So I I don't know why Green Bay is necessarily a 3-point favorite. I guess public perception, people think
Either
Green
that or
Bay
the
is
Pittsburgh
better.
defensive numbers.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's defense before last week were pretty good, but last week's game kind of skewed things. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of wonder.
Well,
Like,
the thing that was surprising is that they had already faced Joe Flacco earlier in the year.
yeah, right. So I wonder if the Steelers were just coming off a win.
No, I'm sorry. You know what? They didn't. They didn't face
Green
Flacco.
Bay. Yeah, Green Bay.
Flacco. They when no Pittsburgh played Cleveland, but it was after the trade had already been made.
Yeah, it was Gabriel. Yeah, I think you meant Cleveland saw Flacco, and then they saw Flacco again.
I meant Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh had seen. Pittsburgh had played Cleveland, but Dylan Gabriel was the quarterback in that game.
Right.
That's when Pittsburgh came back from London. Cleveland came back from London and decided not to take the bye.
Yeah, which we kind of did not understand at all, and they paid the price because they got slaughtered in Pittsburgh. And I think Pittsburgh usually off a win, they are not good, especially as road favorites. I think Tomlin is something like after a win, he's 15-31 against the spread as a road favorite. It's just absolutely.
But what is he as an underdog?
Well, that's the thing. Like Mike Tomlin as an underdog is outstanding. I can pull up the numbers in 1 second. He is actually I have the wrong week, so it's going to take me a little bit longer. But he is excellent as an underdog. He is Tomlin as an underdog is 64-36 against the spread.
64%.
Yep. Yeah. It's 100 game sample size. Aaron Rodgers also good against the spread as an underdog, 32-24. Aaron Rodgers off a loss is 44-28 against the spread. Now this is the Rodgers of old, so I don't want to read too much into that, but still, I like to get
when he comes out and says it's not a revenge game, it's a revenge game.
Right. It's like Vrabel from last week where he didn't say much. We kind of knew it. The same thing here. Like Rodgers is going to be geared up for this game. His teammates are going to want to get revenge for him. And the Packers have been overrated. I don't see why they should be favored on the road here with Pittsburgh having extra time to prepare.
It's got to be very, very humiliating to be told you're going to the Hall of Fame. We don't want you back.
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure. So we see these.
He made the playoffs in 11 of his 15 seasons with Green Bay. Yeah,
we see these revenge spots a lot. Like when Brett Favre went to Minnesota, he slaughtered the Packers. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I do think Pittsburgh is going to win this game.
We didn't see it with Saquon, by the way, against the Giants earlier this season.
Well, he did last year though. He crushed the Giants in the first game, and then
they didn't play the second one. Yeah,
right. So and it's
the one where he could have set the record.
Yeah. Right.
Which, by the way, that's an example of a team player. Because if you have a chance to set an all-time rushing record and you do it against a team that gave up on you, that's like really sticking it in their face. Yeah. And he decided, no, they're going to need me next week.
Yeah.
He should win MVP just for that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, that was incredible. Like what he just sacrificed it, but he won the Super Bowl, so it was worth it.
That's the best revenge.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, I like the Steelers here. How do you feel about this game?
Same thing. That was the game that I wrote up this week.
Okay, cool.
Steelers are many reasons. Let me see if there's any pertinent points that I can make that seem to be illuminating, but I'm not sure I can find it right now.
Yeah.
So let me just I'll take a very quick look here because I know exactly where it is if I can get my things out here. Let's see. Steelers are fourth in the AFC. I think the need for Pittsburgh also is such because with Cincinnati having at least found a competent quarterback in Flacco, you'd have to say right now, unless things changes dramatically, Cleveland and Baltimore are not going to be factors in the AFC North race. Still plenty of time. Cincinnati has a favorable quarterback going now after last week's game, favorable schedule rather, and they now have a quarterback that they can have confidence in. So Pittsburgh could be threatened by Cincinnati. So they have every reason at 4-2 to keep winning. They're going up. They are the number one team in the AFC North. Indianapolis, the number one seed in the AFC. Green Bay right now is the number one seed in the NFC. Now, obviously, interconference games don't carry the same weight as conference and certainly division games, but I think especially the way that they've been playing, the way that, I mean, Pittsburgh, their defense played out football last week in the first quarter against Cincinnati. Looked like the old Steelers. Unfortunately, the last 45 minutes was not quite the same, and Cincinnati took advantage. So there's a little bit, I think, of embarrassment, and also, I mean, it was a road game, so a road divisional loss does not hurt you. But you want to make up for a game you should have won, make up for it with a win in a game you could lose.
Yeah. We agree on this one for sure. Let's get to the Monday night game, Washington and Kansas City. This line is Kansas City minus 12.5. It was announced that Jaden Daniels will not play in this game. So it was 10.5 on Monday, but now that we know the status for sure.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's been ruled out.
Yes. Yeah.
Correct.
I saw that. Yes. So
okay.
Yeah. So,
let me see where that line is now. I'm showing 12.5. Yeah.
Yeah. So
probably headed higher.
Yeah,
if you like Washington for whatever reason, just wait.
Right, yeah.
You probably get 13, and it might even creep up above that.
Yeah, I could see 13.5.
What's the report on McLaurin and Samuel?
Well, they're both expected to practice this week, so we'll see. They don't practice.
Right. We know Noah Brown's on IR, so he's gone.
Yeah, they don't practice till Thursday, so we don't know anything yet, but. I suspect at least one will be back, if not both. So I mean that'll help. That'll help Washington for sure. Defensively, if we pull up those numbers, and I like looking at defensive stats here. Kansas City's 10th in defense, and that means a lot because whenever you have a backup quarterback going against a top 10 defense, I think that just spells trouble.
Plays into the defense. Plays in the hands of the defense.
Right.
Where does Washington rank defensively?
Washington is 24th.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, they just they defensively they're just not very good at all. Like they've had issues past couple weeks here. And then as we know, Kansas City's offense has gotten their act together with the Rashee Rice coming back and Worthy implemented into the offense.
He made his presence known very early.
Yeah. Travis Kelce's looking in shape for the first time in a couple of years. They're blocking well. This Chiefs team is clicking on all cylinders, firing all cylinders. So I like them. I think they should be the favorites to win the Super Bowl right now, even though they're only 4-3. So I like them here. It's just a much different team than last year. Last year I would have picked Washington in the spot because Kansas City was not covering the spread at all.
If Jaden Daniel were playing this week, I'd consider Washington.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
at the line of 10.5.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Let me ask you the question this way: suppose this game goes to 14.
Mm-hmm.
Which would you feel more comfortable, laying 14 with Indianapolis against division rival Tennessee, or 14 with Kansas City against the banged up Washington?
The Colts 14.
Okay.
Because Tennessee.
I guess you sort of gave the answer earlier that you wouldn't mind laying 20.5. That you might consider that alternate line.
Well,
with Indianapolis,
but the problem is like the vig is not going to be that favorable because like there's not much of a difference between 14 and 20.5. You know, like
no, 17 is a key number.
Yeah, but it's not going to be that high. Whereas like what
would you be getting at 14.5? Laying 14.5 before the move to 12. In other words, what was it? Minus 10.5 versus minus 14.5.
14.5 would be let's look.
I'm sorry, which one? 10.5 or
no, the 14. The 14 is you asked for 14.5 for Kansas City. Is that what you're asking? Let's see. Alternate spread.
No, for Indianapolis.
Oh, Indianapolis. Okay.
That's the one you're considering laying the 20.5 on.
No, that was Atlanta. Atlanta is minus 20.5.
Okay,
because there's such a big difference. Well, okay. Well, I'm at the Indianapolis page. So Indianapolis minus 20.5 would be plus 196.
Plus how much?
Plus 196.
190. Okay, because I got a beep there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's robbery right there.
Yeah, Atlanta at minus 20.5 is plus 400.
That's a little bit better.
Yeah, and I'm sure
you double your payoff by going from 14.5 to 20.5. One touchdown.
Yeah, and plus there might be a better number out there. I just only checked FanDuel, so
No,
maybe
that's
there's
okay.
40 out
It's
there.
representative. Might not be the
Right,
best,
right.
might not be the worst. Probably it's representative.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
The numbers
anyway,
probably numbers have to be much higher for Atlanta because Atlanta's a 7-point or 7.5-point favorite versus Indianapolis 14.5 as it is. So.
right. That's why I would go that way. If I wanted to take the alt line in the Colts game, I'd look at like minus 27.5 at that point. But I don't want to. It's not that good of a situation. Like whereas
Who do the Colts play next week?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think if they're up by 27, 28 points, the starters are out.
Exactly. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to do
or at
that,
least they get pulled out for the second half because it could be 28-0 at halftime.
Yes, that's definitely true.
But no, I think if they're up that big, they host Pittsburgh.
I think they're at Pittsburgh, and I think they're minus 2.5 at Pittsburgh.
Or that's not an overseas game. That next one is November 9th.
Yeah. So, So, like I said, I like Kansas City here. Much different than last year. It's a much different team as we saw versus the Raiders. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, my concern again, and I mentioned it last. I forget where I was watching it today, but someone said, "Well, Kansas City rolled over everybody last year, and now they're doing it again." No, they didn't last year.
No.
They had all those close games that they won, so that was sounded good. But that's reputation, that's perception. Okay, I think I've expressed several times I was not high on Kansas City this year. Excuse me, forgot to get to the mute sign. That I think all 3 losses were by 3 points, which were games that they would have won last year.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. But now they had that nice win against Baltimore, which I really didn't know what to make of it because it was Kansas City's best effort of the year against a team that was defensively challenged.
Mm-hmm.
Then they play night. I think that's a sequence, wasn't it? Then they played Detroit.
Yeah.
On Monday night, and that was a very impressive win. And that got me to thinking, okay, the Baltimore game didn't prove anything to me, but didn't hurt me. Didn't cause me to downgrade, but didn't really cause me to elevate Kansas City all that much. Other than against one of the weaker teams defensively, they got the offense going. When they did it against Detroit, who has where's Detroit ranked defensively?
Let's see here. I think they're pretty high. Detroit is number 6.
Okay, that's representative of a good team, of a division winner, Super Bowl contender. When they did that against Detroit, even though it was at home, that got me to thinking that okay, Kansas City may indeed be back. Okay. Yeah. Now, when they did it against the Raiders, even though it didn't prove very much because it was the Raiders, and the Raiders ran 30 offensive plays, which is ridiculous. They were out first down. I've never seen enough. Did you see what their first down numbers were?
I didn't know. What was it?
Kansas City had 30. You want to guess what the Raiders had?
6. I don't know.
Keep going down.
Wow, 4?
3.
3. Oh my God, 30-3.
That's absolutely amazing. And so even when it was against the Raiders, the fact that they were able to follow up what could have been a little bit of a letdown effort, and by a letdown effort meaning they could have won 24-14, they win 31-0, and it was uglier than that. That sort of now says, okay, I'm not. Whereas I was looking to play against Kansas City earlier in the season, I'm now looking to play on them. As long as they continue to show that they are better than last year, maybe not as good as the year before when they won the Super Bowl. No. I don't know that I'm going to learn all that much from this game unless they lose to Washington outright, which I don't expect. And this will be the number 1 play as we talked about in Survivor. Except for those people who say, I got to know Sunday. I can't wait till Monday night to play a Survivor pick, which makes no sense, but a lot of people don't make sense. Oh, do you know what doesn't make sense? 94 people not turning their picks in this year.
No,
that's what doesn't make sense.
I get like week 1 if you forgot because you entered 2 months ago.
But once you've won in advance,
right? Yeah, obviously, God forbid if something bad happened to that person, but like
not to 94 people.
Right?
That's $94,000 of free money. It's already an overlay.
It's insane. I don't get it. I really don't understand.
Yeah,
It's not like a $10 contest. It's $1,000.
no.
It's a $10 contest. I could
Now
see
I
forget.
want, and now I wonder. In addition to that, okay, because I have to believe that a vast majority of the entrants have proxies because they're outside of Nevada.
Right.
So that 94, I wonder, in addition to the 94, how many entries were put in by proxies when they couldn't reach their contestants and it's 5 minutes to deadline and they just had to pick a team.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that was another 150 where the proxies saved them.
How many? I don't know if you would.
I didn't have anyone who has not submitted a selection ever.
What about for the regular contests, like the super contests and the circuit?
I always have a default. I always play for them the 5 biggest underdogs.
Yeah, I know you do that, but like, how does it happen often that like people just don't submit? Okay.
No, because I usually do everything I can to contact them, be it text. Right. I leave enough of a leeway time for me to get a hold of them before the absolute drop dead deadline, which is a lot earlier this year for Westgate. Circa's been 4:00 Pacific time ever since they started the contest, but I've always, and I let people know, I think when we're signing up and all that if there's because I know life gets in the way. Sometimes you forget, sometimes you're called out of town, sometimes there's a family situation or whatever. So I always say, here are the 5 biggest underdogs I'm going to play each week, and if there's a tie for like number 5, I'll go to underdog rather than the road underdog, and it usually doesn't get any further than that. But I've probably had to do it, and I've been proxying probably for about almost 20 years, I'd say.
Okay.
And probably, the contest didn't really start getting bigger until about 2011, 2012, after they got coverage of the contests on ESPN.
Yeah, Bill Simmons talked about it.
Yeah, and they went from like 500 entries in 2010 to about 700 in 2011 to I think 1,100 the following year and 1,400, and it grew. They're at the peak. The Westgate had 3,300 entries.
I remember.
That's what I think. That was the year. I think the year before Circa came along. And Circa provided stiff competition because the Westgate entry was 1,500. Circa said, we're going to come in and we're going to, number one, we're going to lower the entry to 1,000. Number two, we're going to guarantee a prize pool. And I forget what it was. Maybe it was $2 million that year or something. And that attracted a lot of people. And so Westgate has continued to go down. Circa has continued to go up, but they may have reached a saturation point because they increased the guarantee for the Circa Millions, which, by the way, for everybody, they pay 100 places. First place is guaranteed $1 million. Okay.
Yep.
But they guaranteed 6,000 last year, and they came up short. They had about 5,600. This year, they also guaranteed 6,000, and they also came up with 5,700. So they came up short of the amount they guaranteed. And my belief is that many people took the $1,000 that they were going to put in millions and put it into Survivor.
Yeah, you see, Survivor is getting more popular.
Yeah. Or let's say somebody had, and I have clients who do this. They'd have 3 entries in the pick 5. Whether they had it alone or with friends, I don't know. But they would say, okay, instead of 3 entries in Circa Millions, let's do 2 entries in Circa Million and 1 in Survivor, or 1 in Circa Millions and 2 in Survivor, or whatever it is.
Right.
So Circa, they're not really costing themselves money. But they are in a sense because they had to fund a few $100,000 of the guarantee, but they more than made up for that by the people who entered. They went from 14,000 entries last year to almost 19,000 this year. So how much of that growth was due to people just coming into the contest for the first time, or increasing their number of entries, as opposed to the number of people who took money that they would have put into Million and put it into Survivor instead?
Right.
Because that's the money that those people who took entries from the Million and put it into the Survivor are the ones who cost the Circa money, because they had to fund the shortfall in the Millions, where if those people hadn't moved it from the Million to Survivor, they might not have had to fund anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I said, the Survivor is getting way more popular now.
Yeah,
so.
and then now the Westgate also, by the way, I think in Westgate their Super Survivors down. I think they had 111. They're down to 24 right now. Last week, 20. They didn't lose anybody last week. They had 20 on the. Who was it last week? It was a popular choice.
Kansas City, maybe.
Kansas City, and the 4 other on the Patriots. Yeah, it was the Chiefs and the Patriots.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I don't know how many. Kansas City may not be the most popular choice because everyone used them last week, and they have to save them for either Christmas or New Year's if they haven't used them or won't use them then. But the thought also is some people would say, how do I want to spend $5,000? Do I want to spend $5,000 and go against 110 people in the Super Survivor where the contest may not go past Thanksgiving? As I said, they're down from 111 to 24. Or do I want to spend the $5,000 and buy 5 entries in Circus Survivor, where the pool, instead of being 555,000, I think that's what it is, or 550,000, whatever it is, have a chance at $18 million, have five chances at $18 million, even though I'm probably going to have to go 20-0 rather than maybe 10-0 or 11-0.
Yeah, it's I think I'd go for the Super Survivor personally, but it is only
fewer opponents.
Yeah, you do only get one bullet in the chamber, but still, the fewer opponents does make it easier, and not having to pick those Christmas and
it's 2 weeks. It's an 18-week contest versus a potential 20-week contest,
right?
And the cutoff is at least 8 is 18 in the other if it goes down, and if it does go to week 18 in the Westgate, and you end up winning, you may not be the sole winner.
Right. Is the Super Survivor single entry?
I think they allow 2 or 3. I'm not quite sure what it is.
Okay.
In Circus Survivor, they allow 10.
Okay.
But it's a tough question. I would probably, and I don't mean this to sound condescending or anything like that, $555,000 is not life-changing. It's certainly life-improving.
Yeah.
$18 million is life-changing.
Oh yeah, it's hard to blow $18 million. People have blown 500,000 before.
Yeah, no, I mean 500,000 is going to be. It could be life-changing in many respects for most people.
Yeah.
You get out. You move to a larger house, and maybe only take out a 20% mortgage, and the 550 pays 80% of what you move into. Okay, something like that. Maybe you take some extensive or extended vacations. I mean, it's life. Well, altering is the same thing as change. It's life improving, no question about it. Okay,
right.
Look, you pay off every debt that you have. Most people would be able to pay off every debt they have with 500,000, have money left over.
Yeah, but they can't retire on that. They can't retire on 500,000.
No, they can't. You can on 18 million, absolutely.
Yeah,
you can on probably 10 million now.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your age, obviously. But if you're like if you're my age, if you're 43 and you win 550K, you cannot retire. You could maybe take a year or 2 off, but you can't retire on that.
What you mean on the 18 million?
Oh no, on the 550K, you can't.
Or you're talking about the 500,000 or the 10 million.
Right. On the 500,000, you could take a year or 2 off, but you can't retire on that.
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
With 18
but with the 500,000, you can pay off a lot of your debts, especially student loans.
Yeah. Oh, any debt. Yeah.
Any debt. Yeah. But student loans. Well, though now I hear that they're going to be sort of forgiven again, or certain circumstances. I heard that the other day. But but 18 million. So that might be the reason why. I mean, if you're spending the 5,000, it's just a question of, which do you think you have a better chance? Because remember, and I tell this to people all the time in Survivor, the only one who can beat you is you. As long as you keep picking one winner a week, and you gotta, and each week your number of available teams is lessened by 1. As long as you keep winning winners, nobody can beat you. If you can go 20-0, you're going to guarantee yourself a nice payday. Unlikely by yourself because of the huge number of entrants. But then again, take a look. We're down to 4,100 and something now, because we had that bad week 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Just like we had a couple of bad weeks early last year. So we went from 18,000. When your odds were 18,717 to 1, they're now down to 4,000. I think it's maybe 107 to 1 or something like that.
Yeah.
So you just have to hope that of your 5 entries, you still have at least 1 or 2 available at this point.
Right. Right. Yeah. Evan is too.
Maybe you lost 2 entries on that bad week. You still have 3 left.
Yep.
As opposed to if you lost your entry in Survivor, your lone entry in Survivor for the 5,000, you'd have none left.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's really a trade-off. The way I would prefer, if I were going to do it, I would do the 5 entries in Survivor because of the life-changing prospects and the fact that if I'm good enough to avoid all these major upsets, because they're going to come down to times where you're going to have to pick between 3 games where you have both teams available and the line is 3 or less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, maybe not, because again, remember, you have to use 20 teams, but keep in mind that means there are 12 teams you don't have to use.
Right.
And remember also when people, and Evan's probably done this and realized it, I'm sure, is that you plan your strategy. That's why I tell everybody to get that 18-week schedule at the Westgate when they're out here in the summer signing up for the contest. You start marking the schedule as potential teams you're looking to play on or potential teams you're going to look to play against.
Yeah.
5 or 6 weeks into the season, some of the teams you thought were going to be good are not so good, and some of the teams you didn't think much of are all of a sudden the 6-1 Indianapolis Colts, and all of a sudden they become a viable candidate.
Yeah. Yeah. Bengals the opposite of that. Yeah.
Oh, the Ravens. Ravens, perfect example.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So, that's part of the whole strategy, is that you may plan things out. And I like what you do, Walt, because I think you said that you work on a 5-game moving average, or moving a 4-week moving, a 4-week moving strategy, right?
I look at the 9 games, 9 games ahead of.
9 games. Okay.
And I also include Thanksgiving and Christmas in that. So just
at separate weeks, yes.
Yeah, because you have to save those teams. So that's what I do. And then each week I change. For example, this week I looked at week 9 and onward, week 9 through 15, and I made changes based on what happened. Like for example, I marked down.
Now this would be a change. This would be a change in week 9 from what you had last week for week 9.
Yeah, and even earlier in the season. So, for example, after week 3, I marked down in week 9 as Niners over Giants as a possibility, but now I eliminated that because the Giants are better than now with Jackson Dart, and the Niners have injuries. So
where's the game at? New York?
Yeah, New York. Okay. Yeah, so that's something eliminated, or I'll add teams because, so like,
now, do you also do you also look to play against the teams?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's kind of like what I look at each week is,
Well, in other words, you might say, let's say, for example, all things being equal, let's say you're looking at the Chiefs against the Washingtons and the Colts against the Titans, who've already met this year and are division rivals. You might say, you know what, until I'm going to see anything better, and I think you may have actually said this. Well, I think you said it against the Jets. I'm going to continue to play against the Jets, but you say here, I'm going to play against the Jets. I'm going to play against, and forget about Christmas. Assume Christmas was not a factor. Okay, mm-hmm. So so let's say it's the concept of Super Survivor. Let's say, okay, you're going to play against Tennessee because you can't see them winning a game, and certainly not against a team that's 6-1 right now. Or you can play Washington against Kansas City with all of Washington's injuries and Kansas City on a roll. Okay, so in other words, your play on Indianapolis would actually be a play against Tennessee. Your play on Kansas City would actually be a play on Kansas City.
Sure. Yeah.
So look, you're analyzing it. I don't know if Evan does it that way. I would imagine he probably does in some respects. That he would look to play against certain teams in certain situations and certain matchups.
Yeah, that's an interesting question to ask.
By the way, especially an Indianapolis team that you hadn't considered to be one of the 20 teams prior to the start of the season that you would likely lose. I mean, when you're starting the season, who are the 14 teams most likely to make the playoffs, and who are 6 other teams that'll be contending?
Sure, yeah. Or, you could. Who do you think are the 5 worst teams? And against them too. So there's that as well.
I mean, if you thought that the Jets, and they're the only team now that could do it, could go 0-17, you could play against the Jets 14 times.
Yeah.
Only times you couldn't is in the rematches with their 3 division rivals.
Yeah, no, I mean there's 5 abysmal teams in the NFL right now.
Well, you don't know that before the start of the season,
right? Right. Yeah.
I mean, see, I somewhat disagree. I could agree in the Super Survivor contest at Westgate, people playing on Kansas City, because you can only use them once. It's a small field. It's getting much smaller now. Make sure you advance. In Survivor, two reasons why I wouldn't play against Kansas City, or I would not play on Kansas City last week, for example, and maybe even this week. Number one, you've got Thanksgiving and Christmas to worry about with Kansas City.
Right.
Number two, Kansas City is capable of beating teams. Well, last week they played the Raiders, so let's use Kansas City is capable of beating many teams that are better than the Raiders. Why use Kansas City on a team that 28 teams could probably beat?
Sure. Exactly. Yeah.
Which I think is probably as important and maybe even more so than saving them for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Thanksgiving and Christmas. How many other teams could beat the team you're looking to play against this week? Because you probably don't want to waste playing a good team. You would not want to waste playing an A team against a B team.
Right. I've been commenting absolutely, Andy.
Yeah.
Strategy to play against the bad teams rather than on good teams.
Yeah. It's a combination of both.
Yeah.
Because you want to what do you call it? You want to play a good team at some point in the season, so you don't waste not playing them.
Right.
Now, for example, Baltimore might be a team right now that if they don't get healthier, you might not want to play them because they might be, they're 1-5 right now.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Chicago all of a sudden. Maybe they gain a little momentum. But at the same time, you also want to be looking to play against certain teams, but you want to use the weakest possible team or the second weakest possible team that you think can beat that opponent.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now New England becomes a factor in Survivor.
Yeah. Evan, as if I'm alive, week 18, will Walt join us?
I think you mentioned that.
Yeah. We'll see if my stuff will be out on the lawn when I get back.
Walt?
But...
Is that for a basketball player? Or he means Walt? Oh well, yeah. Why? Wouldn't you bring your wife along? You got the kids. Can your parents look at the kids for a weekend?
They could probably, yeah, I guess so. I could probably.
That's something you're thinking about. Okay, yeah. Well, it's all up to Evan now.
No chance she joins.
The pressure's on you after week 17.
That's true.
No chance she joins.
I think I don't know. I mean, the problem is my daughter's only 2, and she, my son will be fine. My daughter might have some separation issues, but I mean, she has to get over that.
For 2 days. You fly in Saturday morning, you leave Sunday night.
Yeah, that's true. I'd probably leave Monday. But
well, it depends how much drinking you do. We know Evan won't be able to leave till like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, I have a rule. I have a rule. It's no drinking during the football season, so won't have to worry about that. No chance of my boyfriends either. So not even for 18.
I have a rule. No drinking during live game action.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
No, that's not true.
I've been betting you a lot more live. Well, thanks, Evan. I think our live bets last week were like 6-1. Pretty good stuff. The only live bet I lost was I bet Jaden Daniels over rushing yards and he got hurt. It's the only one I lost. So.
Oh yeah, when he got injured.
Yeah. So everything else hit. I use Evan's secret techniques where you keep betting team total overs on teams that are just can't be stopped, and then you bet over rushing yards on mobile quarterbacks who are behind.
Now, do you ever bet unders on team totals in a game or not?
I haven't done that yet.
The reason I ask is, what would you have done with the Giants last week?
Well, they didn't really qualify. It was like the Colts, for example. Like the Colts kept scoring over and over again, and so I took their over twice.
No, I meant when. Well, I don't know what was the Giants in game. What was the total last week?
I don't know what the total was, but I mean they scored 32.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to see what the. Let me see, because I have it here. What the line and total were on the Denver Giants game, because Let's see here. Okay, the next page.
Well, while you look it
It
up,
was
Evan
Denver.
says my wife won't want to be anywhere near
Oh,
me during the game. My sons will probably come and stand in the back watching from afar. Okay. That makes sense.
yeah,
That makes sense.
staying as far away from Evan as possible because he's being totally focused.
The thing is, my wife hates football, so she wouldn't want to come and watch
Yeah,
the
but
game.
she loves you. She loves you.
I don't know about that, but we'll see
At
how
least up
that-
until week 17.
well,
No,
she-
last week Denver was 8-41. So let's say 8-42. So that would be what, 28-21? No, wait, 42,
25
8 and
17,
42,
25
35,
17.
70, 25-17.
Yeah.
So I wonder if if you would consider play that would be the ultimate bad beat. Let's say you were playing under 16 and a half. Okay, since we used 17 earlier in an example.
Yeah.
For the Giants, and it's 19-0. Was it entering the fourth quarter?
Uh-huh.
You bet under 16 and a half, and then it drops to under 13 and a half, and then the Giants start scoring.
Right.
That'd be a bad beat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
that didn't make it. That's why when Evan asked the question earlier, that's not the craziest game of all time. That would have been one of the most frustrating bad beats of all time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I still maintain Arizona, Tennessee was crazier. It's just crazy.
No, quick job. I'm just saying. Well, I made the distinction between craziest bad beat of all time, or the most surprising bad beat of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, I wouldn't say bad beat. Surprising ending of a game.
Yeah, I still think
because the Giants were covering the Denver game. Well, not until it was 19-16. Last week.
Yeah. Well, they were covering the whole time. What do you mean?
Oh, sorry, the Giants were up. Yeah, I was looking at it in reverse. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how astounded I was. A week later, I still can't believe that the Giants were up 19-0 in Denver.
Yeah, they were cruising. They look great. And
you know what I think happened? I just got it. It just came to me.
What's that?
Start of the fourth quarter. Someone comes in and tells the players on the field, "Your luggage just arrived from London."
That's it.
That's what it was.
That's it. That was the motivating factor. That was it the whole time.
And they all had like jewelry and everything that shipped back from London, and they were concerned because they had been without it. The airport called.
Yeah. Players and their jewelry, they need to have it. It's very important.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I imagine.
How funny would it be if that was true?
It'd be great. Yeah, guys, why are we down 19-0? Oh, our jewelry is missing. We're really concerned.
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
And we were elated when we got the message after the third quarter that it had been delivered, and we were waiting for you at home after the game. We lost all interest in football. We were excited to have our, $300,000 watch back or whatever it was.
Yeah, they're trying to delay the game for the jeweler to come to them. Yeah, so
they were just saying that when they found that they got the word that the luggage was home now for them, they lost all interest in football. They were just anxious to get home.
Oh yeah, well,
so they stopped playing and let the Giants score all those points.
Well, they wanted it
to come back after they did. Yeah.
So
they scored all those points, and the Giants,
after the game. Yeah, they wear it after the game. So that's very important. So
actually, I was doing it in reverse. It shouldn't have been that they came back because it was Denver that did all the scoring in the fourth quarter, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Well, Giants, awesome, but maybe the guy came back and said, "We have some bad news for you. We found your jewelry, but it was burnt in a fire before it got onto the plane," or something like that. So all that jewelry is gone.
Oh my god!
And that's when Denver stops playing.
Yeah. It's
I had it reverse. That's how astounded I was by the fact that the Giants were leading that whole game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is right. It reminds me of Lost. Have you ever watched the show Lost?
By the way, we're still recording.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I hope somebody's listening.
We have let's see, we have 21 people on YouTube. We have 1 on Twitch, and we have 362 on Twitter. So people are listening.
Oh, okay.
Do you ever see the show Lost? Before you head out.
I know of it. I've never seen it, but
okay. Well, in that show, one of the characters is bringing his dad home in a casket, and it's on the plane, and they lose the casket. And so that kind of reminds me when you talk about like missing jewelry. Like imagine losing something like that. So it could be worse for these players, even though they do value their jewelry a lot. But imagine losing your deceased father in a casket. Like that's
yeah.
What,
they were on the plane?
Well, yeah, they.
I mean, the casket was on the plane.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they couldn't find it on the plane or something. So,
did they ever find it? Well, this is a fictitious story anyway. So
right.
It's probably happened in real life, but
yeah. Well, on the island, he actually sees his dad, and that's a whole different story. So, it's one of my favorite show of all time. I love that show.
Lost.
So, Lost, yeah, my favorite show ever. So I'd recommend it. But anyway, we're about 3 hours into this, so I think we should probably call it a show. Huh? Is that if I
remember my favorite show of all time? Yeah, because I kept interrupting and going on tangents.
What is your favorite show of all time? Do you know?
I really don't know. I always enjoyed The Odd Couple, the original Odd Couple.
Okay.
I liked. I actually have this series here on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, I love that show. I've not.
But if I were to go back to old time shows, I would go back to look, I'm 71, so I go back to almost the invention of TV. And there were some really good shows. The Beverly Hillbillies, I always thought was hysterical because there were jokes that the kids understood and jokes that the adults understood.
Okay.
That was always good. And Green Acres was another sort of one like that because it had some very clever. There's some really great character actors playing some of the parts in that show.
And he's definitely a fan of iCarly and MASH. I don't even know MASH is iCarly.
MASH I enjoyed, yeah.
iCarly is a Disney, I think Disney show. So
yeah,
one of those teeny bopper.
Is that the one with Hannah Montana? Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus, was that her?
No, a different show, but same premise basically.
Yeah, no, but I wasn't sure. I know she played Hannah Montana.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
And her husband's name was Joe.
Right.
Except she was 14 years old or something.
Joe, yeah, that'd be a little weird.
Yeah.
Joe Montana Jr. or something. I don't know. Yeah. So no, I initially thought that was when I didn't never heard of it before. I thought that was like a porno.
Which one is this?
Hannah Montana, because I thought Debbie does Dallas. I thought like Hannah does Montana. So I thought maybe
but she'd be doing it with grizzly bears.
Right.
Up in Montana.
Exactly.
Or deer or whatever.
Yeah, so whatever's out there. I've never been up there.
That's a good question. I've had Cheers was always a good one of my favorite shows.
Okay, I've never actually seen Cheers.
Yeah, that's still available on reruns.
Yeah, I'll watch it one day.
Yeah, there are a lot of old time shows that I watch on all. You know what? I'm gonna say All in the Family.
Oh, okay.
I'd put that probably right in the top 5. Okay. Now they probably can't play it today because it was very controversial and they tackled a lot of sensitive issues and they did it with humor. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if have you ever seen any of the episodes?
No.
Carol O'Connor as Archie Bunker. I mean, he played. He was a bigoted guy from born in the 1920s and was against everything that everybody else liked and all that. And he mastered the. He was in what was the show where he played the sheriff down in Atlanta? I forget what it was that he did after that, but he'll still be known as Archie Bunker. That the name will come to me after we're done. But that was great because they had a lot of great. You may have heard about the time when Archie kissed Sammy Davis Jr.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, Google that. That's one of the great moments in TV. And even though I wasn't around when it was originally aired, I've always liked the Honeymooners.
Okay.
Jackie Gleason. They have that. They put that on from time to time. Oh, another one of my all-time favorites, and you can Google these on. But see again, if you're under 50, maybe even 60, you might not remember these people, like guys like Bob Hope, and Groucho Marx. They're before you know who they are, but you probably were born after some of these guys had already died or whatever. But they were Dean Martin Celebrity Roasts.
Okay. Okay.
where they would have famous comedians and like that come up and just roast everybody, like the roast that you see now. And they could say some things on those shows that were, I won't say acceptable, but they were used frequently at the time, and today would be considered politically incorrect. Okay, and those shows you can get them on YouTube. I remember they would do a host. You're probably too young, other than maybe as a little kid, to remember Howard Cosell.
Yeah, I know Howard Cosell. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know he his heyday was Monday Night Football. He did a lot of boxing and everything, and he was always good friends with Ali, and they were always poking fun at each other and all that. So he was often one of the guys on the Dean Martin roast, and they had Don Rickles on there a lot. I'm sure you know Don Rickles.
Yeah.
You hockey puck. But they would have all that, and they would roast celebrities. They would roast vice presidents of the United States. They roasted Ronald Reagan when he was governor of California.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, whether you agree or disagree with his political views, he had a good sense of humor.
Reagan?
Reagan, yeah, he did. He would listen to some of the things he says, and a lot of people did not like him for a lot of reasons, for his politics and everything. But he was also a sportscaster early on in his career.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Yeah,
that. Okay. I knew he was an actor, but yeah.
Yeah, he was an actor, and Bedtime for Bonzo. He got upstaged by the chimp. But I like the old TV shows on some Mr. Ed, Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
The silliest show. I mean, who was it? I think it was Marshall McLuhan, who said, television is aptly, A-P-T-L-E-Y, called a medium, for it is neither rare nor well done. Which was a great quote from back then.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember who it was who said. Someone else called. Oh, it was. I forgot the guy's name. It was the chairman of the FCC way back when, who said something like he called it. Maybe it was Marshall McLuhan. Yeah, maybe it was somebody else. Called it TV a vast wasteland.
Wow. Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of bad TV over the years for sure, but.
Well, the problem is there's not very much that's original. So much things that are original have already been done in one form or another.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of copying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So even like a show like the Black Mirror, which is great now, is it's copying off the Twilight Zone, which I would say that
was a fantastic show.
Yeah, it was my
that
favorite.
and Night Gallery, which was his follow-up show.
Okay, I say Twilight Zone is probably my favorite old show. I've seen almost every episode, but yeah. All right.
Yeah, those are good shows.
Yeah, for sure.
What time is it now? It is 1:45 your time, 10:45 my time. I'm gonna go have some dinner.
All right, sounds good. I'm gonna have some I'm gonna have some cookies. We actually bought a Halloween cookie design kit that my kids.
I was gonna say, I think you told me what they're going as.
No, I don't think I did. My son is going as Chase from Paw Patrol, which he's super excited about. And my daughter is going as an ice cream cone. So they were super into their costumes. They're looking forward to it. So it's 8 days from now. It should be fun for them.
Just don't have any of the grown-ups liquor conehead.
Yeah, it'd be weird. Yeah. So all right.
Do you and your wife go trick or treating with them?
I usually go with the kids, and she just
she gives out the candy to the other kids.
No, we go to her sister's house, so she just hangs out with her sister. And
okay. Yeah. So they stop by your house, and there's nobody home.
Yeah, we leave out candy in a bowl, and
you trust everybody?
No. They'll take.
No, because the first person comes along. Oh, there's nobody here. There's no light. They'll take the whole thing.
Yeah, that happens. Sometimes, here, a lot of times the parents will go with the kids, and so they won't do that. But like the first teenager who comes along is like, oh my God, I'm going to take all the candy. That'll happen. But
how do you know what happened? Wait a minute. How do you know what happens if you're not there?
I don't. I just assume. I mean, there's never any candy left. But when I lived by myself, there would be a lot of kids with their parents.
Yeah.
And then
see where I live, we get very few people because I'm in a complex where they have a lot of parents with young kids, they have like a community Halloween party.
Oh, okay.
And so you get, the people who would normally go door to door trick or treating go to the community center or room or whatever. And I understand it for safety reasons. It's not like when I was a kid and you didn't have to parents didn't have to worry about the kids or anything. That's a long time ago. The old time. You hear about the old days where we used to keep our doors open at night, and that'd be nice.
Yeah.
That's been a long time ago, but Halloween was always a fun holiday.
Oh yeah, Paris says cookies.
I often went dressed up as a human. Yeah,
that's your costume.
Wearing the most bizarre, ugliest patterned pants or whatever, that people would eat the candy just so they could throw up on me.
Yeah, Paris says cookies at 1:45. Well, I don't go to bed until 6, so think about like a normal person.
So you're in the middle of your workday.
Yeah, no, I'm going to work right after this. I have to write up my Thursday thoughts for the picks and do some stuff for week 9, the advanced spreads and whatnot, enter them into my database and such. And while I do that, I'll watch.
You've got the week. Watch what? You'll watch which one?
I'll watch a TV show like Orphan. I'm watching Orphan Black right now, which was a great first season. Second season's kind of shaky. I might stop watching it. But.
Do you, by the way, in your database, if you wanted to, you could include the opening 10-day advanced line for the games?
I just do advanced spreads. I don't. That's why I put in my.
Well, no, that's what I mean. The advanced spread. I'm saying the advanced spread. Yeah. The ones that came out yesterday.
Oh yeah,
for week 9.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
So you can go back and check. Well, I'll tell you what a good exercise would be. Because I don't keep it. I probably should. I'll probably start that. Which is the better indicator of the final result? The initial advanced line, or the reposted advanced line on Sunday, or the closing line the following on the following week?
I found that if you just blindly take the teams that get value from the advanced line and like at least 2 points, you'll go like it's like 53% against the spread or something.
Okay.
Which is fine,
Well, I'm just saying that regardless of, in other words, let's say the advanced line is let's use Buffalo. Let's see, Buffalo and who are they playing? Carolina. Let's say the advanced line was Buffalo -7.
Right.
The one that came out a week ago yesterday. And let's say when they posted it after last week's game where Buffalo had a bye and Atlanta played Sunday night, let's say they posted Buffalo 8.
Right.
Okay. And let's say the line closes. I'll just make it. Let's say the line closes at 10. Okay. You can do an analysis based upon the result of the game, regardless of how it got there. Which ended up being the best line? The -7, the -8, or the -10?
Oh yeah.
You do that, and you do that for all teams. I don't know what I would expect, but I would not be shocked if we find out that perhaps sometimes that 10-day advance line or 12-day advance line, I guess more appropriately if we're looking about a Tuesday to the following Sunday, maybe it turns out that, in 52% of the cases, the advance line was the best of the 3 lines.
Right. Yeah.
Because when you divide it up against the 10-day line, the reposted line, and the closing line, those percentages will have to add up to 100%.
Right.
But you're having 3 items add up to 100% and not just 2.
Yeah.
So let's say that, I guess it wouldn't be able to do it if you say, okay, you eliminated the one that came in 3rd. And then you compared, let's say that the closing line did the worst as far as the result goes. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say it was 40. Let's keep the math simple. 40% on the advanced line, 35% on the reposted line, and 25% on the closing line.
Okay.
So let's say it came out that the 40% for the advanced line was the best of the 3. So now you eliminate the Sunday line, or the closing line, because we know that was the third best predictor of the actual result. So now you take the 45% and the 35% and you compare them against each other. And then you find out that maybe 54% was still the advanced line, and the opening reposted line is only 46%. My guess would be that if you eliminated the closing line, the reposted line would be the better line, because you had already seen what the action was on the early line before they played, let's say, week 7's games. But they had an opportunity now to adjust that advanced line based upon the results of week 7's games, and then the public takes over from there to get to the closing line.
Right.
So I would think that the lines makers probably would have made a better adjustment to a 12-day advanced line. And then you could compare, and then if you find out that, yes, the 12-day, the advanced line, let's say, was better than, that the adjusted line, the reposted line, was better than the initial line. You already know it was better than the closing line because you eliminated the closing line because it was the lowest of the three. Okay? Then you find out that the reposted line is better than the 12-day advanced line, and maybe you start thinking about making some plays on the advanced line, but you got to know which way to go.
Right.
Because you don't know which way the line will move between the reposted line, but you probably have some idea based upon what the reposted line is compared to what the 12-day advanced line was, and the 12-day advanced line is getting bet into prior to being taken down before the start of the Sunday game. So
right. Yeah.
All right. I think we've done 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's about time. So, So Andy, always great to have you.
By the way, here. I think what you ought to do for whoever's still watching or following us, they get one of those now deeply discounted Penn State James Franklin head coach T-shirts.
I'll have to make one and put it on the merch store. So I'll definitely get onto that. Andy, always love to have you on. Can't wait for next week. And thanks guys for watching and commenting. Really appreciate it. Thanks especially to Kevin Kovac for $15, $25 in super chats. Winfield Scott for
nice.
Let's see, this is $11 in super chats, and of course Evan Daniel, $10 in super chats. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow with Evan after the Thursday night game, usually about like 10-15 minutes after the Thursday night game, and then Friday with Tom. So 2 more.
Are you able to send me that link for listening? Like you do, you send me the links for joining the show to record, and if you want to watch or listen.
Right.
Yeah, if you could send me that when Evan's on tomorrow.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. All right. So, all right, guys. I hope you have a great night. And please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit walterfootball.com for tons of content. We'll be back tomorrow, like I said, after the Thursday night game. And have a great night. And I'll talk to you.
And I'll wish everyone best luck this weekend as well.
Absolutely. Good luck to everyone. And talk to you.